Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the RSL. We had 3 days off. We missed you, but we're here again now. I'm with State. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Enjoyed my long weekend. Got to catch some of the casting you guys did over Saturday and Sunday here at the RSL with Rainer and Steve coming in. That was a lot of fun.
It was very cool to have Rainer on here. Very insightful casting from him. We are getting close to the finish line. So if you're joining us now, it's Thursday here. We're going to be on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday, we will be crowning an RSL champion.
Yeah, only 4 days left of RSL as we are getting closer and closer, not just to the end of RSL, but also to the start of EWC, the StarCraft II circuit. You know, only a couple of years left before we crown a world champion, and I feel like what we're seeing here today in the RSL is kind of a preview of a lot of what we're going to be seeing at EWC. The players that are remaining in the RSL right now are probably going to be the same players that are trying to compete for that title.
Yeah. We are excited to announce that Archon Studio has been sponsoring Season 1 of the RSL, our official broadcast sponsor. The StarCraft Tabletop Miniatures game is coming out. It's going to be on pre-sale later this year. I highly advise you to go to their website. The Tabletop Miniatures game looks sick. I am definitely going to be getting that as a StarCraft fan. But honestly, all of the products on their website are amazing. They've got stuff for some of my other favorite franchises. We love you, Archon Studio. Thank you so much for your support. And it's not just Archon Studio who's supporting us. We also need your support. That's right, you at home. I'm talking to you specifically. Sitting at home naked at your computer, I'm singling you out. You need to get the credit card out and sign up for patreon.com/ReviveSC2. We've got different tiers depending on what kind of support you can get. Even if you can only do $5 a month, it means the world to us. And Patreon supporters get a 20% discount on all Tasteless TV merch.
Wait, Tasteless, you got to take this down. That deal is too good. You're going to go bankrupt, Tasteless.
They're robbing me blind here at RSL. Who signed me up for this? We've got hoodies. We've got pins, mugs, T-shirts, not just RSL stuff. We've got kind of gaming, esports, or RTS related stuff. I think we've got something for everybody, so consider going to the merch site. It's tastelessthreads.com. So far, the RSL has been a huge success. The viewership on Twitch, on X, on our YouTube Live has been great. Even on Soup, it's been excellent. But the most important step for us now in the progression of this tournament is that you go subscribe to the YouTube. It's very hard to get a YouTube big right out of the gates here. And so we need you to go to YouTube, leave a comment, like the video. It's going to help us in the algorithm. You can also follow us on X for all these updates. But most importantly, guys, go to YouTube and go there. A lot more people are just experiencing StarCraft and gaming in general when it's not live on YouTube. So it's important that we get those archived VODs out to as many people and win over as many potential fans as possible. Because, you know, maybe if you're hardcore into StarCraft news, you know that this is going on, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people kind of wait for the YouTube algorithm to tell them.
Yeah, and the RSL team's also done a really good job of making that the spoiler-free RSL playlist.
Yes.
So if you go to the, I think it's ReviveSC2 is the YouTube URL right there. If you can hop onto that, go to the playlist section. There is a spoiler-free playlist that goes all the way from day one up until, you know, eventually the final day here of the RSL.
Yeah, so if you can't watch live, you know, you can always just tune into the YouTube. And, you know, just like your favorite Netflix series, you can follow along in the action. Anyways, in this match here tonight, it's going to be Byun versus Shin. What is the name of this map? Do you know? The top? I always forget this map name.
Kill Switch.
Kill Switch. Thank you. Yeah. Kill Switch is it's a map that's made for some pretty interesting games. The third base for both sides is generally pretty close, so the action picks up pretty quickly.
Yeah, we've seen some players try to mine out the mineral fields right by the natural expansion, just to the bottom left of this hatchery, slightly off screen. There's I think 2 rows of blue minerals. I believe it's 2 trips to mine each one of those minerals out, and then they'll try to take the corner base if you want to try and expand away from your opponent, but we're gonna have to wait and see if that's actually what's going to be happening here. Shin and Beyond with a little bit of banter. I didn't catch all of the chat at the beginning of the game, but
I wasn't reading.
Yeah, Byeon's like, oh, you're going for 15 hatch, I'm sure, and Shin's like, yeah, for real. And then I guess Shin also had some kind of guessing game about exactly what Byeon was doing, and then he confirms with the Overlord Scout that it's actually a CC first build coming in from Shin. And yeah, just as we said, he's mining out that mineral patch by the natural expansion and taking the corner base.
So then this means that what I was talking about with the map and what we can expect from this game is not going to be the case. It's wrong, because he's going to take a very, very removed third base. And this actually makes a lot of... It's one of these things you see it once and you go, yeah, obviously that's probably the best way to play a map like this. He's going to wrap... he's going to be able to maneuver through the mined-out mineral patches. And I think this is going to make for, assuming that Byeon wants to attack out early and like try to hit, like he does in most of his games, he's not going to have an easy target.
Yeah, I wonder how much that's going to mess with the game plan here of Byeon, because we've seen, I want to say, so much 8 racks in RSL. It feels like it's 75% plus of the TVZ games that we've been seeing is
I agree.
Either CC first or 1 rack CC into a 3rd command center with Hellions and Banshees, and then an 8 racks. And Shin is one of these guys who, I mean, Raynor was kind of very opinionated about some of Shin's responses to Cure's 8 racks play and that series that the two of them played. But he kind of pioneered this this roach-based style with fast +1 Carabus and a very fast Ultralisks, and that has been pretty good at shutting down 8 racks in general. But it still feels like Shin has some vulnerabilities to that opening, and the way that Byeon is developing right now, the CC first and a 2 barracks and then a very fast starport behind it, I think we might still go that way. But if anyone's going to go off the beaten path here, it's probably going to be Byeon and TVZ.
Yeah, I do agree with what you said, State. In some ways, the 8 racks and TVZ, it feels very formulaic, but it seems so good. Like, how could you not play into that style? Very basic, but very strong. As long as your unit control is good enough. So the Roach Warren is going to be finishing here. We have Stim also about to wrap up here for Byeon. And I don't see a second eBay, but I'm sure one's going to start here. You always get double eBay.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We just have the 1 eBay in production right now.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a mistake.
It could just be slightly faster timing because, again, the medevacs are already coming out into the field. You probably just want to get +1 out as quickly as possible. And it's also, in the cards for Byeon just to stick on 2 command centers here, not even take a 3rd, not even go for 8 racks, just throw in a couple more barracks and just full send it, as he is going to be able to pick off this initial Overlord. Going to be about maybe 16 Marines and 2 medevacs moving cross map right now, and let's see what Byeon can get done.
Okay, so we have the initial push out here. With +1 starting, and the fact that there wasn't a second eBay ever made, I guess this is just going to be a 1 eBay game here. Because if he saw that and started attack and, obviously wasn't worried about armor, it's going to be a different game. So maybe he's going to hit a little bit earlier with a little bit more. The Marines are going to come through here. 1 Roach gets sniped off. And as is pretty much always the case in early game TVZ, it's very hard for any... the Marines to ever actually fight on the low ground, right? It's kind of like the floor is lava. The Roaches get over there, the Marines have to pick up in the medevacs and go somewhere else.
Yeah, and this Roach opening is going to do quite well against those Marines up until +1 infantry weapons is done here, as we have no tech lobbed on any of the barracks here for Byeon, so it's literally just a pure Marine composition. And if you want them to do good damage against Roaches, you really need some kind of upgrade advantage with infantry versus Carapace. Now, Carapace for Shin, it just got started, but that's going to be a really large window where Byeon can try and abuse. Z stims forward, able to take down 1 more Roach, and then is going to go into the main base into the arms of 6 Queens, so he will quickly scurry back away.
And for now, Shin's looking pretty strong. He hasn't committed to the 4th base yet, so we don't know exactly where it's going to be. I think a lot of people might expect the triangle up there, but I'm kind of eyeing the 6 o'clock base, the very bottom. Like maybe you just sort of wrap around the bottom and kind of play expansion keep away, so to speak, and really force the Terran to go all the way, cover all the distance if you're going to be moving out.
Yeah, I would like that. By the way, Shin, he is throwing down the Infestation Pit, so Ultralisk's potentially going to be on the board in a couple of minutes here, but with Beyond, he's taking a third command center, he's adding an additional barracks. It looks like we might have that 8-rack scheme. +1 infantry weapons is done. Carapace only about halfway complete, so there is a window where Beyond could try and get some damage done as he's slowly creeping forward with these tanks.
Okay, so that base is going to be denied pretty easily. It looks like he's going to relocate it. And, I mean, right now, Beyond's got a position where I don't think the Roaches Ravagers can ever really attack in. It's a pretty big distance for the Ravagers to get in range and hit that tank. Beyond's going to pull away. He's going to loop down to the bottom. I think he scanned this. Maybe he didn't, but either way, he's going to be able to hit this as well. And this is going to be a second denial here. There's nothing to defend this hatchery.
Yeah, Roaches and Ravagers are coming down that ramp. Is he going to try and push Beyond back, as instead Shin just decides to cancel that hatchery? I think he doesn't want to take any fight until +1 Carapace is done, because this is really mostly just Marines here for DPS with those couple of siege tanks as the Hive does get started.
So the third time the fourth base has started here, there's that second eBay finally coming down now. Right now, it's really going to be up to Shin to try to get these bases up here. Big attack, excuse me, coming up now. And I don't know that this is going to work out nicely for Shin. The Marines are going to dive in here, and we still have 2 tanks alive. The Marines stutter step microing forward and taking out those very expensive Ravagers.
Yeah, with only 5 Roaches left right here, those Marines can get a lot of damage done. Queen's getting focus fire done. Don't even have the time to get transfuses off as the Roaches continue to fall. +2 Carapace is getting started right now for Shin, but these Marines just traded so effectively. The moment that you lose the meat shield of the Roaches right there for Shin, you're going to see everything falling apart, because he is kind of working his way up towards getting that +2 Carapace, towards getting that Hive Tech, towards the fourth base. It's only 53 drones. He can't really afford to add too much more in.
I mean, that was pretty scary. I actually thought the game might just end there, and it's possible it's going to end in the next minute or two here. The Roaches, first of all, Ravager count's pretty low. You can see he's making a bunch of links here. He basically needs to have a solution. This is going to be the third time the fourth base is denied if he actually kills it off here. He's going to inch in with that tank. There's Marines coming from the top. And this just looks so bad. The hatchery's gonna go down.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Shin can do from this position. I mean, the Hive is done. This is when, as Shin, you would love to be throwing down an Ultralisk Cavern and potentially getting some upgrades in the first few Ultras on the map, but he literally can't afford to do that. He has to build Roaches and Ravagers or run the risk of dying right here and right now. And as it is right now, with 68 workers just mining out of 3 bases, I'm not really sure what he can get done. He doesn't really have the time to save up the money to really start those Ultras, right? Because you also need the Ultra Armor upgrade to really be able to get anything done.
So he's going to try to come out again. And I mean, Shin, he's not necessarily out of the game, but like things are getting pretty dire. Beyond is keeping the pressure on here. It doesn't look like Beyond scanned the bottom here, and instead he's going to try to just force this. Now he's going to go for the Roach Warren, so that could end up taking out this really critical tech. Seems like a bit of an overextension, though, doesn't it? We've got all these Roaches and Ravagers coming down now. Big surround in there. And, you know, it did feel a little bit more like a win more move from Beyond. Like, you took out that base. You probably should just keep scanning and trying to stay on the periphery instead of moving into where the creep is. And this is going to start to snowball. You know, the Marines couldn't quite unload and reinforce the position. Now that tanks have been taken out, is there a chance that Shin just goes all the way with this?
I mean, possibly. He's really kind of turning this on the head. The fact that we only have 1 tech lab out right now for Beyond means there's just a couple of Marauders here in this force, as Shin is going to continue to attack in. +2 infantry weapons just now finishing up. SCVs getting pulled. Marines are stutter stepping forward. A lot of damage being done to the front line of Roaches as another siege tank is going to get set up. Shin quickly taking that down. It's mostly just Ravagers remaining, though, and those can get focused down in a hurry, Tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, if he can just push in a little bit more, he's going to be able to deny that command center, which is not done, by the way. Like, he could force a cancel. He could get the sweetest revenge possible for all the punished hatcheries early on in this game. Supply is ramping up. We've got 8 more Roaches and 2 more Ravagers in the mail here. This lower position, okay, he's not going to be able to deny the command center. I actually was confused. It's this command center it's making over here that I saw on the production tab. It's so low on HP. I don't think the angle's quite good enough. He's going to try to take the rocks down. It's just a little bit too much of a narrow bottleneck to try to push through there. And Is he going to go for this? I think he is. Yeah, he's going to try to maneuver his way up here.
Yeah, Shin is just going to try and keep making roaches and eventually break this down. Actually, he restarts the hive. That was canceled. I didn't even catch that he canceled the hive during all of that pressure that Byun was levying on him earlier in the game. But as it is right now, even though the upgrades are even, the army from Shin is not very... It's not very strong in fights like this one. You need to basically get a full surround with the Roaches and Ravagers if you want to trade effectively. And this slowing zone is so punishing. Shin can barely retreat because the army is just so... It's so large, you know? You have to move through these slow zones. And that's a lot of Roaches and Ravagers getting picked off on the retreat as he's going to pivot down back to the third base.
Going for the Baneling's Nest here now. This position is getting so fragile. I see one tank, I think maybe one more above this screenshot over here. Now, if Byun can basically run the clock, if he can keep denying, and a lot of that will come to the infantry kind of getting in front of where the tanks are, doing some damage, diving away like we see here with the corrosive biles, Byun may be able to swing the game back in the other direction. For now, though, Shin is busy trying to macro up. He's taking his 5th base. You know, it's hard to really kind of take the entire map when you're going Roach Ravager. You're dumping a lot of resources into remaxing over and over. He's going to go into Infestors, and this may be the setup to try to break in there and actually get past this because, you know, once you get the corrosive, fungal off, then the corrosive biles will just obliterate the infantry that are on the ground. Byun's going to try to push all the way across here. This is a really important moment. He denies the hatchery. Beautifully done. This is while Byun's taking a 4th base.
Yeah, Shin is going to try and get some counter damage done with these roaches, and he desperately needs these infestors to get on the field. They are just now hatching. Fungals are going to be critical for the fight here for Shin. His army hasn't been getting better for the last couple of minutes, whereas Byun is finally close to maxed, even army supplies. But let's not forget, Ravagers and Roaches are some of the least supply-efficient units in the game. That is a very bloated army here for Shin, and we finally have the Ultralisk Cavern coming down, Baneling speed also being added. 16 more Banelings is going to provide a lot more firepower to Shin's army on the ground, but with 3-3 nearing completion, Tasteless, I feel like Byun's going to have a very large window to get timing done. Oh man, those Fungals seem to lead into some connections either with Biles or with Banelings. A lot of army being lost there by Byun.
Okay, another push down here at the bottom, and you know, the hatchery's low, but as long as these infestors get the shots off, we saw one infestor get sniped. The Banelings are going to come in here. The tanks are being taken out. There's Liberators and tanks further back, but I don't think it matters. And Shin manages to basically wipe most of that position off. He's going to regroup now.
Yeah, he's actually trying to stealthily take this base all the way in the bottom left, as Byun has been able to do a very good job of keep him locked in on 4 bases. And you can see it's really starting to hurt the income right now of Shin. He is struggling to get back to max, even remaxing on Lings and Ravagers and potentially even adding some more Roaches in here. Is he will go for another counterattack. I think this is more of a move of him just trying to buy some breathing room on his side of the map, but the reinforcements of Byun, we're getting to a point now where Byun is going to have more mining than Shin, and this base, this 4th base is already getting besieged down. Byun is just inches away from taking this game #1.
Okay, we've got 2 infestors on the move here. I don't know if there's any great fungals, you know, potential fungals here. We didn't mention it earlier, but this bottom left base has been taken. I almost forgot there's even a base there on the map because we don't really see games go on for this long normally. Big drop over here into the main base, and he's going to be able to deny the Ultra upgrade. This is huge. The Baneling Nest is the icing on the cake there. The Infestation Pit is going to be wiped here as well. And from there, Terran has to pick up and try to move out. Shutting down 3 super important techs here.
Yeah, and the Ultra Armor, too, is going to be pivotal as the drones. Oh, big Fungal coming in by Shin. He will be able to pair that up with a couple of Biles, but just a moment too late, so they do not connect on the Marine Marauder. Byun should be aware now, seeing those drones be sent down to the bottom left, that there is another expansion, but for now, he has his eyes set on continuing this drop here in the main base. The hatchery's going to be going down. This spawning pool might even get taken out. Shin, he's fighting back with a counterpunch of his own, going for this Ling run by, but that's just going to be it. GG. The supplies might have been even, but Shin took so much damage. The creep spread was non-existent. He was basically getting suffocated by Byun there at the very end.
That was a sick game. Real back and forth. I actually thought Shin was going to take it with the counter push. There was a period where Byun pushed so hard. You know, it's one of those things where, like, it's important to know when to attack, but then you also have to know when to, like, okay, let's take it easy. Like, mission accomplished. He's been denied 3 4th bases. Don't push in. Don't do the win more move. You're eventually going to have your own fourth base there as Terran. Anyways, it didn't matter. Shin did the counterattack, trying to punish the overextension, but at the end of the day, Byun was just too strong with those pushes. And, you know, I was talking at the start of the game about how the map kind of tends to make for claustrophobic positions, and that's kind of stressful for the Zerg. And then I said, well, that's not going to be the case because he's taking this base at the very bottom. Turned out it was kind of the same game anyways, just a little bit longer.
Yeah, the third base is safer there for Shin, but taking a fourth is just such a challenging task, especially against somebody with the opening that Byun did, where the third command center came in a little bit late. I think it was CC first into 2-1-1, and then I think he went up to, I can't remember if it was 5 barracks and then the third CC, or the 5 barracks immediately after the third CC, but in any case, because there's only one engineering bay, he was hitting a lot faster than I think Shin was probably anticipating, and that made taking a fourth even more challenging there for the Zerg. But, you know, Kill Switch, I feel like that's probably the hardest ZVT map in the pool right now. As we move on to map number 2, it's going to be Takamok. Shin, the blue Zerg in the top right, Beyond the red Terran in the bottom left. Probably better odds for Shin here on a more macro-focused map.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, let's see what Byun wants to do this time around. We've talked about the 8 racks being pretty commonplace. Although I guess in the last game, he did do something pretty different. He went for one eBay play, very late third base, kind of leaning into just pushing hard. And it worked, you know, for the most part. It worked until he overextended. Shin went for the Roach Ravager play and basically never stopped.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting approach there from Byun. I was watching the RSL cast with, I believe, Rainer and Steve with Cure versus Shin last week, and I was really impressed with the response that Cure had to Shin's very roach-heavy style of TVZ, because, you know, as Terran, oftentimes those ultra plays, when they do come out, if we get ultras on the map at like 8 minutes, 7 minutes, some timing like that, it is very dangerous for the Terran player. You know, these are kind of the explosive timings that Zerg can hit in this meta. If they go very fast high, and it can just absolutely rock you. But it's usually done on the back of roaches. You know, you delay the link speed, you go into roaches very early, and that's kind of the force that keeps you alive. And also, because the mineral gas economy is very well mixed for the roaches, it also transitions really well into ultras. And what Cure did in that series was, I think he went 4 or 5 Tech Lab basically every single game with the 8 racks, which is an absurd number of Marauders. Like, some games, Shin would be going into like Hydra Ling Bane, or just like Hydra, or mostly like Ling Bane based armies. And Cure is still pumping the Marauders because he respects the threat of Shin playing that style. Byun did almost the complete opposite in that last game. We had, I think, 1 Tech Lab at the very end when he was taking the 4th command center.
Yeah.
It was like pure Marines. I think that's one of the reasons why it was so hard for him to hold on against that big Roach Ravager push. And I feel like that's just a very stylistic difference between Byun and Cure. I feel like that approach is a little bit harder to make work versus Shin, but Byun was still able to do it there in map 1.
I actually never really thought about that, but you're right. Yeah, I mean, Byun is less inclined to go for Marauders in bulk. He really likes to just have stim Marines, you know, and kind of force win it. You know, you can swing fights pretty hard, especially with stim, right, when they start to run away, especially off creep. So in this game, I mean, things are off to a fairly slow start, but this is kind of what TVZ looks like nowadays, right? We're going to have macroing up, powering up. We didn't have a third CC made, right?
No third CC just yet.
So this is not going to be the 8 racks play, at least in the form that we're used to seeing it at. The Lings actually come up here and kind of drive the Marines away, but it's less about damage and more about the fact that he just got to scout and see the factory, see the other racks, you know. Whenever you see something being made in the game, you know that there are other things that could not have been made, right? And so he doesn't see the third CC. He sees it. It's instead infrastructure that's being introduced into the game a little bit sooner. That's a pretty big win for Zerg to see that right away.
Yeah, and this is looking very similar to the build that Byun did in game number 1. I wonder if it's going to be the same single engineering bay play as our Observer Mapu. Yeah, that's a nice little nook there.
I didn't know that you could actually fit stuff back there. So the idea with this is that there's hardly any surface area to surround the Marines, just in case like Zerg does do some kind of Ling run in here. But it's not going to be the case.
Yeah, we actually have the Roachborn coming in before Ling speed again here for Shin. So he's going back to that very Roach heavy style. Anytime I see this from Shin, I'm immediately saying, I'm imagining that we see like a 6 or 7 minute hive in Ultralisk Cavern coming down.
Yeah.
I feel like that is generally the direction that this kind of approach goes from Shin. And there might be a window where Beyond could potentially get something done against that, but I feel like against the style that Beyond showcased in Game 1, if he does the same build in Game number 2, I feel like that lines up really well here for Shin.
I think so. We've got the Evo starting here now. Just one for the time being. Stim is going to be finishing. We'll probably see Beyond move out once the 2 medevacs are here, although we've actually seen him sometimes move even before the medevacs come out. One of the most aggressive players that there is here in our tournament. And we don't have a third base coming down here for a while, so basically this is going to be Terran's attempt to roam and try to get some damage done. In some ideas, very similar to what we saw in Game 1.
Yeah, it is remarkably similar to Game number 1. But this time, the upgraded advantage not going to be quite as significant here for Beyond, as Shin is opting for a very fast +1 carapace. It'll be like maybe 5-second window that Beyond has with +1. And so for Shin here, trying to survive the mid game, that's going to make things a lot easier, as he also does have a good number of roaches on the map. Only 47 drones for Shin, so his economy is quite potent. Beyond's going to come in, drop in the main base, and just immediately peace on out, because that is a very healthy number of roaches here.
Okay. He's going to try to roam into the main, unloading off this creep. This is probably going to be denied pretty quickly. I mean, Shin's very much on top of it. When you're defending a Zerg with roaches, it's all about being preemptive. You just don't want them to unload, get some damage done, and then start to, you know, have this damage that kind of snowballs and spirals out of control. Second Evo chamber being made here. So it's interesting, this whole series, we just have kind of desynced double upgrades.
Yeah, Beyond going for just the one engineering bay in Game 1 to get infantry weapons and infantry armor before getting the second one for 2-2. And Shin is going to be actually ahead in upgrades this game over the Terran, which is surprising. You don't see that very often. And he's also delaying the hive. He's going into 2 infestors really quickly. Yeah,
that's going to be awkward, because that, you know, I guess it's not so much the case in a game like this, but in a lot of TVZs, the +2 attack, +2 armor power spike is huge.
I feel like Shin he wants Beyond to attack into him when this +1 timing comes in, is my read from this position, because with 2 infestors and this number of roaches out on the map right now, this could be a really deadly timing, almost an anti-timing for Beyond to move cross-map if he is not expecting the fungal. So the hive, it is coming in significantly later, but the trade-off here for Shin is that he has some potential to get a really favorable trade here in the mid-game with those 2 infestors.
So we're going to have another unload here. We're waiting to kind of see if this next big push is going to do it. You know, the roaming with the medevacs and trying to do damage, that's all kind of a build-up into this push. And he didn't really get that much damage done, to be honest. Fortunately for Beyond, the area he was pushing into is where the new hatchery started. So this is going to be really tricky for Shin to defend, because the hatchery is going to be extremely low on HP. He could just pop it like a balloon if he gets up there. The Marines are going to come in here. He's going to stem, and he's going to basically spread out. He denies the hatchery. As long as the Marines are far enough in front, the Ravagers can't use the corrosive biles to hit the tank. So that's the positional play that we're going to see here. And this is something I also love. Unlike the last game, when he got the advantage and did well with the push, he's going to regroup and back up.
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to rotate around the map to potentially take down the other 4th base location, either at the gold or in the top left where Shin is taking it, as we see the Ultralisk Cavern does get thrown down now. And, you know, for Shin, you know, you sacrifice a hatchery, obviously it's not ideal, but when you're playing this kind of style, you're usually basically on a 3-base eco anyway. You're at like 66 to 70 drones, which is full 3-base saturation, and I don't think Shin is going to be too unhappy about having that 4th hatch get denied right now. As long as he's not taking big damage, we are building up towards a timing where Ultralists are going to be on the field and will be a very potent force. And let's see, a lot of these engagements, should both sides commit, are going to come down to the fungals.
Okay, we've got more sieging up over here. Nice fungal, not exactly big enough. In fact, he's going to try to come in here and just do this damage anyways. God, if he gets his hatchery again, it's going to be huge. Another pretty bad fungal, to be honest, although some of that's just due to how good Beyond is at spreading. He's going to continue to be able to hit this hatchery. Right now, Shin in hot water. He has to figure out, do I just want to cancel this? He does. He cancels that. That's denial number 2.
Yeah, 4th base getting denied. As looking at the minimap, we have another drop coming into the main base right here for Beyond. But Shin, he's been doing a very good job of splitting up his forces. It's one of the reasons why those Fungals, I think, were so timid, is because he just didn't have enough army there in the top left to safely go deeper with the Infestors and try and get a larger group of Marines. But Shin, he has weathered the storm. Yes, his 4th base got canceled twice, but he's mostly just playing a 3-base economy. And now we have 4 Ultras coming onto the map, with Ultra Armor finishing in maybe like 45 seconds, plus 2 Carapace nearing completion. And Bjorn is going to start to siege down the 3rd base. Shin is not going to let him do this one, especially with the first Ultras popping. And we have no Marauders on the field right now for Bjorn. I don't even know if we have any Liberators, so these Ultras can get a lot done, Tasteless.
I mean, this spread is pretty nasty. Beautiful drop over here as well. I think there's barely not enough Roaches to handle that. This is going to be hard to hold because the Roaches, the Ultras are just so tanky. Oh, I was wrong. I thought he didn't quite have enough over there. So he picks up and goes into the main here. Chitinous Plating is going to finish in time, unlike the last game.
Yeah, and with Chitinous Plating finishing up, that's going to make things a lot easier at dealing with these Marines because, you know, the damage drop-off is just absolutely huge. Ultra Speed also being researched right now, and we have a ton of Ultras on the map. I've just been watching the production tab, and Shin has been trickling Ultra after Ultra after Ultra. He's finally been able to retake that 4th base. And I'm kind of surprised, honestly, looking at the minimap right now, that Shin isn't gearing up for a push in this moment, because Bjorn back at home, he's transitioned some of these barracks. He's added on a lot of tech labs. He's going into Marauder production. 2-2 will be done pretty soon here for Terran. I feel like now is the best window for Shin to get damage done.
Yeah, this is where he has to come and get some damage of his own out here. It's important that every Ultra is kept in the game as long as possible. They're the least expendable thing in the game right now. I do like the position. This factory with the reactor is making such an awesome bottleneck where like the Widowmine shots and the siege tank splash is huge. We see Bjorn, I mean, he's got such a small amount of infantry. He's just going from behind line of defense and line of defense over and over again. I think Shin might be able to snowball this damage. Shin is like possibly going to get these Ultras and Roaches and Ravagers up onto production. And, you know, a lot of times you think of, you know, StarCraft games 1 when you lose, you know, enough bases, you're not viable. You can win games by just getting on top of Terran production, and then everything that pops out just dies.
Yeah, a lot of those Ultras did get traded out, trying to break down the main ramp into Bjorn's base. A lot of damage has been done to Bjorn, but for Shin, his key army units, the Ultras, have effectively been reset. I'm not sure exactly how many we have on the field right now. It might just be 1 or 2. But, you know, the supplies, they are advantageous for Shin, but I don't mind Bjorn's position too much now, especially with 2-2 done and more Marauders being added into the mix. I really think he can transition back out of this, but that is a mighty Zerg army.
Yeah, oh God, this interception is huge. These Marauders some of them are picked up. He's gonna pull away. But you know, Zerg can just counterattack here, right? We had a lot of SCVs that were killed off earlier. It's 62 drones to 46 SCVs. Terran's just gonna go for it. He's gonna try to push all the way up here. The link count it's okay, but I don't think it's enough to actually overcome what he's got over here. A Fungal serves this actually pretty nicely. Yeah, that's gonna be it.
Wow.
GG. Shin smashing Bjorn in game 2. I love the Ultra play.
Yeah, the Ultra play, it's my favorite build to watch in ZBT.
Yeah.
It is so much fun watching the Zerg just try and navigate and like juke and jive all of the blows that Terrans got before the Ultras get on the field. And I really thought Bjorn might have a chance to try and stabilize right there because he's down to like 40 workers, but Shin is still on what, 60 drones?
Excuse me.
The Marauder transition came in, but yeah, Shin just a little bit too powerful, was able to close it out.
So we're tied up 1-1. We have Bjorn winning game 1 in a pretty impressive fashion, but ultimately Shin, he just did so much damage there. And I don't know if Bjorn necessarily did anything wrong, so to speak, in that. Did you feel? I didn't.
Yeah,
I thought he played pretty well, but I don't have any kind of.
The build that Shin went for, I felt was really good against that because it's so Marine heavy. Like Bjorn had, I think, 1 tech lab in total just to get stim and combat shields, and that was the one barracks making Marauders when the Ultras came in. But the thing is about that timing, which Raynor mentioned, and I thought was really eloquently put, is when Zergs go for that play style, the Ultras, what the Ultras do best is they kind of put a timer on the Terran where they need to basically attack into and get some more damage done before those Ultras get on the field. Because otherwise, once those Ultras, you see them, as soon as the upgrade comes in and we have like 6 Ultras, Bjorn's army just got routed. It went from him trying to take down the 3rd base of Shin to his main base ramp
He was literally
sieged in the span
kited
of like
all the
2
way
minutes.
back to his starting location.
Yeah,
and
it was
the Ultras are still
crazy.
moving through there and doing damage. Everybody, consider signing up for our Patreon. It's patreon.com/ReviveSC2. I've been seeing in the little Patreon email notifications every day. A couple more of you join the RSL Army. If you haven't done so already, this is a great way to support StarCraft II and support our endeavor to produce high-quality, streamlined content and keep the story, keep the flame of StarCraft II going. For me, kind of the classic fashion, like the old Star Leagues, OSL and MSL back in the day, or obviously GSL if you started with StarCraft II. Kind of seasonal content, long form, that you can enjoy in your time off. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, this series between Shin and Beyond will continue on.
Welcome back, everybody, to the RSL. We are continuing on with Shin versus Beyond, and I am joined by Gemini for the remainder of this series. How you doing, Jemmy?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm enjoying coming back to RSL. I was away for a couple of days. My brother was in town going around and doing some stuff, but I'm here ready to jump into this little TVC that we got here. Hopefully we get a couple more games. It would be funny if I jump in for one game only, but regardless, I'm going to be here for the other series too, but you know, it would be kind of funny.
It's a 1-1, so if it ends in one game, I'll be
that's right.
I will be very surprised.
I don't know why I was thinking it was a 2-0. Never mind. Great start so far, everybody. That's excellent. Hello, it's me, Gemini.
Can tell paying attention.
I was. There's the TV over there. I was looking at it. I'm serious. No. Anyways, here I am. Short-term memory loss. Okay, don't make fun of me.
Yeah. So we got 2 best-of-5s for you guys today. Of course, Shin versus Beyond, the first series. We are 1-1 in this best-of-5 so far. And after this one, Clem versus Rainer will be the second series played today as we get closer and closer to the end of Season 1 of the RSL. We are going to be crowning an RSL Season 1 champion this weekend, Gemini.
Yeah, it's going to be super sick. I'm actually just kind of surprised that Clem and Rainer are even facing each other at this point in the bracket.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a crazy scenario that we have here. We're going to be losing one of them already in the losers quarters. So that match is definitely going to be pretty fun coming up next. But yeah, I mean, I'm very curious to see how well Classic continues to do, obviously, considering he's the only Protoss player left. So I want to still see how well he can do, and he's still coming off very well from the GSL win and everything. So just curious to see. But yeah, I mean, Shin versus Beyond is what we're still in right now, and yeah, I feel like either player is playing, you know, to the level that they could take it and go on to the semifinal, the loser semi.
Yeah, it's a pretty stacked losers quarters, right? Like
it's
the
a
fact
pretty
that we have
stacked
Clem
everything.
versus Rainer, yeah. I mean, Hero versus Rainer. Hero was the first player knocked out of the playoffs.
I know. I couldn't believe that either. Like the fact that was a 3-0 was wild. I feel like I was not expecting Rainer to just bop Hero out like that.
Yeah, but I've been really happy with the parity that we've had so far here in this season. The Gemini curse of the group stage, the group stage draw with the races where we almost had like mirror matchup after mirror matchup after mirror matchup in every single group was rough, but it's been very fun.
It's a blessing in disguise, all right?
Here in the playoffs, as we get ready to go into game number 3 between Shin and Beyond on Antimatter. Beyond spawning as the red Terran in the bottom right, Shin the blue Zerg in the top left.
Yes, I think this might be the first time I'm actually casting a game on this map, one of the newer maps that we brought into RSL this season as well. So it's pretty cool to see some of these new ones, obviously, many new strategies that can come on out. I've been liking some of the cute plays that Shin has been trying to bring out on some of these new maps. I feel like he's one of the players that is kind of trying to adapt to them more than some of the other players. So curious if he maybe has anything special planned for this one, or if it's going to be a bit more standard for him.
Yeah, CC first coming out again here for Beyond, by the way, is... Yeah, this is just his MO. I wonder if we're going to have basically the same skeleton of a build with CC first and a 2-on-1, and the one engineering bay, the one early engineering bay here coming out from Beyond. I feel like this is a very good map for it, Antimatter, because of the natural expansion that Beyond took, it's kind of a pocket base. If you look at the mini-map, you could see there's 2 rows of minerals that form a wall. And to the point that Gemini was making earlier, we have had players like Shin, you know, in ZVP, literally mine out those minerals with a proxy hatch into some kind of link flood. I think that was one of the games that Hero lost versus Shin, was exactly that build. And it's been fun seeing these, you know, to me, very new maps kind of get debuted in the RSL. I was a little bit skeptical at first about, we're going to have how many fan-voted maps in the RSL? It feels like a lot, but no, the Patreon vote absolutely delivered. It's been very fun casting these games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's very rare that you see some of these pocket bases. I feel like we had a couple of maps of like that in the past. I feel like I can't even remember some of the names of them, but like I feel like especially in PvP that could really totally alter how things go, especially nowadays with one gate expands and stuff like that. But in TVZ, it definitely lends itself more towards some of this greedier play from Beyond with the CC first, like you were saying, and it seems like he might be just trying to go into basically a similar thing that he was going for earlier on. And whether or not that actually ends up working out for him here, I mean, we'll obviously see that. But I feel, does it seem like Shin really kind of cares that much if there's even a CC first happening every single game? It feels like, at least me as a Protoss player, I'm like, well, I just want to if there's a CC first happening, I got to find a way to punish this. But it's like as Zerg, it feels like there's less opportunity maybe to do that.
I think Shin, if I'm remembering correctly, by the way, really fast third CC coming out from Bjorn, so a bit of a different build than he showcased in Game 1 and Game 2. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Shin versus Cure that I think it was Rainer and Steve on the cast last week, and I was watching that. He went for a really fast drone scout to try and block the CC first, and he lost the drone. And then he went like, and then he throws down like a gas in a pool, and it's still CC first, and he can't get anything done. It's just completely dead. I feel like I've never seen. Rainer was so disappointed. It was it was so much fun watching that cast. And actually, we have a second factory coming in for Beyond. Third factory too. I think we're gonna get some battle mech here, Gemini.
Some Cyclones, perhaps. All the rage on Twitter and all that stuff nowadays, I heard. Everyone loves the Cyclones.
And on the ladder, too.
Yeah,
I've been playing a lot of random, and let me tell you, I despise ZVT more than any matchup I've ever played in StarCraft 2.
And then the next game you are Terran, you're like, let's make Cyclones.
Yeah.
Now I get to be that guy. But for now, of course, it's going to initially be Hellions. Trying to get some map presence, trying to maybe do some poking, deny some creep, see maybe if we'll end up suiciding some of them to try and get some drones early on. We'll see if that ends up being something that Bjorn wants to do, or if he's just going to try and keep as many of them alive as possible, so that way he can maybe go for a bigger follow-up push later on. And the Overlord going to be trying to come in to get the scout off on the extra factories. I don't believe that was anywhere close to seeing those extra 2 on the back end.
Yeah, I don't think he should have very much of an idea. One of those creep timbers, ooh, barely not going down right there. I thought the Hellions might be able to take it out. So nice little bit of a win there for Shin, as we have two Cyclones immediately
nice
queued up.
Upgrades going there. Oof.
Yeah, they're
that tells a story.
I feel almost traumatized anytime I see them. This composition is so powerful, and we're gonna have to see how Shin is gonna be dealing with this. There's been, like, I was asking, I think Kelzer. I messaged him when I was playing these ZVTs on the ladder. I'm like, dude, can you give me some advice about, like, how do I, like, you play Terran, like, what do Zergs do to actually stop you? When you go battle mech, what do your losses look like? Because I feel like I never get to cast those games. They're very rare. And also whenever I'm playing as Zerg on the ladder, I'm losing those situations. And I think you said that, like, getting Infestors out relatively quickly for the fungal can be good. Like Hydraling Bane can be pretty good because a little bit more mobile, right, than some of the other compositions. This Shin is going to be coming in actually at a pretty good timing right now. He's able to get these Lings directly onto the Cyclones. Of course, with repair, the Cyclone shouldn't be going down. But this is a nice win here for Shin. I mean, forcing the Mules to get off the mineral line, confirming exactly what battle mech it's going to be. But is he going to have enough at home to deal with this initial round? Because he's sitting at 68 drones. This is a lot of drones by Shin standards. He usually likes to play a relatively low income style. And that's a lot of Blue Flame Hellions and Cyclones coming across the map right now, Gemini.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's got... I feel like he scouted this... I mean, it's good that he did scout it, but it felt like he did scout it relatively late. He didn't really get the key in until really just those Lings kind of came in. I mean, and maybe he was keeping track of some of the Hellions as well, but this is, I mean, if Bjorn wants to just kind of send it across the map relatively soon, I feel like there's going to be a pretty good opportunity. I mean, obviously, he's got total map control at this point. You have no real way as the Zerg player to just kind of pounce on this army or anything. It's super fast, super mobile. It does a lot of burst damage. And so Shin has to be keeping very close tabs on where exactly this movement is going on. And he's going to try to have to keep this creep spread going as much as possible, because Bjorn is just denying it absolutely everywhere. I feel like the creep is barely even on the map.
Yeah, we are going to have, I think, some Ravagers get added to the mix here, which should help a little bit here for Shin, because, of course, they do have longer range here than these Roaches. But you just see the kiting coming into play already right now on that 4th hatchery, which Shin would love to start saturating with these extra drones he's building right now, but this hatch is just in such a precarious position with very minimal creep spread in front of it. You just get kited into oblivion right now here as Shin. I feel like maybe if there was a round of Lings where he can come around from the flank side, you might be able to get us around, but he is going to dive on this. A couple of these Cyclones do get taken on the front side, but overall, still the DPS potential here for Bjorn's army is just massive.
I feel like that was still kind of okay-ish. Like, it wasn't obviously great, but I still was thinking, oh, this is a bit of an overextension. I feel like, unfortunately, only getting a Cyclone there. Some of the, oh, sick fungal out of nowhere from those two Infestors will be allowing him to jump on that giant pack of Hellions and start to shave this down. So that is where it's really going to start to swing for Shin here. Excellent timing on those two fungals, and the extra Lings coming in to reinforce will allow him to chase this down and continue to push Beyond all the way back to his side of the map.
Yeah, Beyond was not anticipating this turn of events at all. He's building his 4th command center on site right now on the low ground, but that fungal took all of the wind out of his sails with that initial round of Cyclones and Hellions, basically just getting stomped on the front door there of Shin. You need that money fungal as Zerg to be able to stabilize in a situation like that one with the composition that Shin was running, and he absolutely made it work.
Yeah, that was perfect from Shin, honestly. I wasn't even realizing. I saw the Infestors in the production, but I felt like I didn't even think he had the energy to be able to throw those fungals down. So very good for Shin to really get the momentum more in his favor and just kind of deny Beyond from being able to continually shark on the map with total freedom. I feel like he's going to be able to get these roaches pretty well, actually. That's an insane amount of damage coming in from those Cyclones onto those roaches on the left side. So a bit unfortunate, but it does distract Beyond at least to allow the right-hand side army to go ahead and once again cancel this 4th base. So Beyond continually shoved back onto 3.
Yeah, it's kind of painful here for Beyond that you just didn't take the safe road and build those command centers on the high ground in the main base or something, right? Double cancel on that 4th, and Beyond was double expanding. He's taking another expansion down by the 7 o'clock position, the bottom left of the map, but yeah, he's immediately throwing down also. That initial base has gotten canceled twice already. It is a bit painful, but I love this Infestor sharking around. It did, oh man, 104 energy. We can get a massive fungal on this. Beyond, he does juke a little bit, but he kind of works his way into the corner, and now Shin completely cornering the Cyclone Hellion army. Oh man, that was a coup. What a victory right there for Shin. You never want to get caught in a corner like that with a Battle Mech style. That Infestor just absolutely carrying the freight, forcing Beyond back, and him just finding himself stuck between a rock and a hard place. And now Shin, it's hard to push into a Cyclone army like this, but with a win like that one and all these Lings flooding in, I feel like this is the opportunity where you can actually make it work.
Yeah, that was excellent. I mean, even if the Infestor didn't actually get the most insane fungal off, it forced all of the units to the right side, just forcing them into that awkward choke point and just getting cornered. And now, I mean, Shin has just got full control, sitting here in the natural. The kiting is still going to be excellent from Beyond since the Cyclone lock-ons just continue to be very strong in general. But obviously, this is a great position for Shin. Once again, that base getting canceled. I wonder if Shin actually realizes that there is another base taken at the same time on the left. He's just now going to go check for that, and that is smart. We'll be able to know exactly the situation he's in. Doesn't actually have as strong of an economic lead as maybe he thought, initially canceling that 4th base yet again. And so Beyond will be able to stabilize for now. The reinforcements aren't quite here, and this will at least force Shin back as well and get some decent trades for Beyond.
Yeah, but up until this point, Shin has been so cost-effective, I'm not sure he minds this too much. And another fungal coming in from the flanking Infestor. It will die, as there just wasn't quite enough army there for Shin to really capitalize on the fungal, but again,
that looked cool.
Good move. It looked really cool. Style points for sure. And I think we had 4 Vipers finish up during all of that. So they are somewhere, I'm sure, gathering energy. And I feel like when you add Blinding Cloud into the mix, Shin has basically navigated through the most precarious stage of the game against a Battle Mech Terran. Like, he's at 84 drones now. He's taking this base in the top right. Beyond is not out of this by any means. You know, he's keeping pace in terms of SCVs with Shin. He's retaking that 5th base again. This is like the 4th or 5th time this command center's gotten thrown.
I will get it up.
Just build it in the main base and fly it over. But he's actually double expanding. And I wonder, does Beyond actually, he does notice this. There's a very faint shadow whenever you're tunneling roaches like this in, which Beyond was able to spot.
You know, that's very good. Keen eyes he's got there. I feel like that bottom left base, that the 4th/5th that was trying to get up at the same time is actually kind of saving Beyond right now, because Shin, again, I feel like he didn't quite realize that that was being double expanded just a couple minutes ago. And without that extra income, I feel like Beyond would not have the ability to just kind of skyrocket back up into supply a little bit like he's been doing in the last minute or so, and has allowed himself to kind of, like you were saying, keep pace with the Zerg, despite the fact that the initial couple fights actually got swung against him. And Shin, like you said as well, has been doing good of keeping this momentum away from Beyond until just now, when a massive amount of drones are about to get roasted by this Blue Flame Hellion hit squad on the right-hand side. 11 of them down immediately. Luckily for Shin, he will be able to cancel that left-hand side base, and yet again, this forward base cannot get up. Every single time, it's getting battered down by something different. This time, it's a bunch of Hydras with the lunge ability already on cue as well. And now the Vipers here, able to pull in some of those Cyclones. This is continuing to be good trades overall for Shin.
I've lost track of how many times that command center has gotten taken out.
It's insane. It's definitely more than one hand at this point, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, I can count that exactly on 2 hands at this point. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, at this point, like, do you just, like, lift off the main command center here?
Yeah, honestly. And then that dies. Nothing stays alive at that base.
Yeah, Shin has done such a great job of navigating through the mid-game here, and he's now going into the Greater Spire. Yes, he did lose some, like, a dozen drones in the top right expansion, but he was able to quickly replace those. And beyond, he's sitting on 90 SCVs. He is very well oversaturated on the bases he's got right now. So that is not translating into superior economy. Actually, the mineral income is relatively equal, and the gas income far superior right now for Shin, just because you see, like, you're gonna have to send them distance mining to this triangle base because there really isn't much left. In the main and the natural expansion, they've also mined out. We have the command center again getting thrown down on site, the 5th or the 6th time.
Surely this one stays alive, right? Surely this one will actually be the one. Looks like Shin is trying to posture to yet again strike this base, as he does not want this forward one to get taken. Yoinks coming in with all the Cyclones. We'll be able to kill a lot of those for basically free, as the energy is going to be used up here from those Vipers. We'll have to send them home eventually to replenish. Doesn't want to lose anything with the missile turret. That'd be sad. Getting rid of the sensor tower is also really nice to disallow any vision on the map here. And these pulls just continue to be very good. Nice arc, though, from Beyond. We'll be able to get a nice trade on the back end here and force this army back. There's no real army on the other side either really moving, except for a pack of Lings, I believe, on the bottom left-hand side, which aren't actually going to do anything. So this forward push is going to be pretty uncontested from Beyond.
Yeah, Beyond actually getting a lot of damage done right now. As Shin is waiting until he remaxes. Some Lings are coming in. I mean, being able to capitalize on this moment where Shin is adding in a ton of Corruptors to get ready for Broods is such a nice victory here for Beyond. He's getting even more damage done. These Queens coming off creep to try and get some semblance of a surround on the Cyclones, who are basically standing strong right now. Finally, some extra damage coming in as we have the Cyclones effectively not having to kite, just really A-moving into this army. Is once more, you know, as soon as Shin moves off creep, you see the Cyclone kiting coming into play. And again, but I am so impressed with Beyond's resilience. I feel like basically every fight has gone Shin's way. The command centers have been canceled maybe 6 or 7 times between the bottom left base and this base over in the center of the map. And Beyond still has a supply advantage, Gemini. It's kind of wild what we're seeing.
Yeah, I honestly am kind of shocked every single time. It feels like, again, the fights don't go his way, but then he just re-engages towards the end, and it just kind of gets the last bit of the units. And since the reinforcements aren't quite there for Shin, but they are coming in from Beyond, he's able to kind of swing the fight towards the end of it. And it's doing still pretty well for him. Like, he's able to actually push forward into these forward bases. He doesn't know about the Broodlords until just now. That's when they fire their first shot. And that's when Beyond is going to have to think otherwise. And 5 Thors instantly on the production tab when he sees that. That's a meching Terran for sure right there. He knows what he's got up against at this point.
And you know, Shin, we've been singing his praises about these expansions, but he hasn't been able to secure another hatchery for quite a while now. You know, he just took that one base in the top right, kind of finishing off that quadrant of the map. But besides that, it's really Beyond who's kind of slowly working his way into these more healthy bases, like the triangle expansion and the base at the 3 o'clock, which is just now going down. And the units lost tab has swung like 5,000 resources in favor of Beyond over the last few minutes, whereas it was remarkably even heading into like the 14, 15-minute mark. And Yeah, Shin, you do have that income advantage a couple of minutes ago, but you can see things very quickly equalizing. Once this gold base comes online here for Bjorn, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about Shin here in Gemini, because those Thors, we already had them as an answer. More upgrades are coming in. +3 plating on the mech versus just a +1 melee for the Broodlings also. I mean, they already tickle. Like they're gonna be doing basically no damage. Look at this, like it's nothing effectively. The Siege Tank Slash does so much more.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to get really awkward for Shin pretty quickly, especially when these Cyclones find their way deep into the main and natural bases of Shin. It's going to really force this army away, and now we've got more movement on the right-hand side from Bjorn as well to capitalize on this. We'll see if he ends up actually going forward with that. It's actually the Thors just kind of marching away on their own. That's a bit risky there, so we'll pull those on back. But at least that was kind of, I was actually going to say, I was at least kind of suiciding units to make room for some more supply somewhere else, but he just kind of replaces them with Cyclones anyway. So just more of the same for now. Doesn't want to get any extra Thors, thinks there's just enough for now, and so we'll just kind of chill with that. The gold base getting denied for now is actually very critical. Like you were saying again, Shin needs to make sure that this does die, because he has not been able to really get enough bases going himself, and that is going to be a critical moment here if Shin wants to continue in this late game.
Yeah, Vikings now getting added into the mix here for Bjorn, as he was able to secure another expansion in the bottom left side, but Shin, he has a lot invested in this attack right now. There's only 1k gas in the bank for Zerg, so it's all gonna come down to this. Huge abducts on every single Thor is going to thwart the majority of the anti-air right here for Bjorn, and that means that these Broodlords can inch forward, but they want to be careful. Those lock-ons, they are hard to shake off once the Cyclones actually connect with the Broods. You already see at least 1 or 2 Broods do go down to those lock-ons, but this base is going to have to lift up.
Yeah, the Viking switch is here, but unfortunately just a tad bit too late. Those abducts were perfect. CC getting killed off on the way back to the main, and now the Vikings are trying to use this little high ground position to try and chip away at the Broodlords, and we'll be able to get some of them with the Cyclones helping out as well. The Hydras can't quite get to them, but I feel like this army is just really non-stop here for Shin. He's got to be careful, of course, because this is where the time comes to switch it for Bjorn. He's able to use his reinforcements first, and the rest of Shin's aren't quite here yet. So I feel like these units here are going to probably just get suicided for as much damage as possible, but I think the damage that they were able to do is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and the fact that they're forcing Bjorn back into this natural expansion and allowing Shin with just 3 Hydras to completely clean up this mineral line, so it was just an orbital, is such a boon right now for Zerg. Bjorn he's down to 45 workers. That's about half of what he had a moment ago. The income disparity swinging massively in Shin's side. It is Shin who is now double expanded. He's taking the center base. He's expanding into the gold that Bjorn was trying to take a moment ago. And those abducts on the Thors, Gemini, just completely flipped the momentum of this game. It was starting to really look good for Bjorn there. You know, he had the expansions, he had the superior worker count, the upgrades were massive, but the upgrades don't matter all that much when your entire anti-air of those Thors gets abducted. Is that like the 7th time?
That's got to be like 8 or 9 at this point, I feel like. I think 7 is a little
this
balling
might
it,
be
to be honest.
This might be the most command centers I've seen die at one expansion in like 5 years of casting StarCraft II. It is just absurd.
It's ridiculous. And looks like Shin is trying to go in here for one big final crushing blow. Gets the units caught in the left-hand side of the map, lunging on forward to get on top of everything. Beyond push down sub 100 supply for the first time since the early game. And this is looking like Shin finally finding enough momentum to actually end this game, and that is the GG. Shin takes an exciting game on Antimatter.
Wow, that was a real back and forth one. I am very impressed with Bjorn's resilience and persistence. The fact that he was, you know, just taking so many on the chin, and then he was still able to stay in the game, was remarkable to me. I mean, that command center got canceled so many times at the fourth.
I wish we got a counter. I would have loved it.
We need like a highlight reel of just like,
like,
let's get a super edit of just that command center
Shin
dying
versus Bjorn CCs.
8 times over the course of 10 minutes.
It's 3-minute video. Like, that's absolutely insane.
But the fact that Bjorn, up until those Thors got abducted, it seemed like he was never out of the game. Shin just kept kind of winning these trades that you usually don't see Zergs win against a battle mech Terran, and then he wasn't really able to close it out. And Bjorn behind all of it, is just been playing this kind of fast expansion style that really Gumiho pioneered with this meching play, where you're expanding almost in the way like Hero did in PvZ a long time ago, when we had like a revival of PvZ when Hero really, I don't know if he necessarily invented it, but he certainly refined and popularized the 3 Oracle play with Mass Blink Stalkers back when he won that GSL years ago. We kind of see that now with Battle Mech, because the rate of expansion is insane. Like the Battle Mech is good at getting map control, and then behind it, the Terran player just takes command center after command center after command center, and oftentimes at some points they're just out expanding the Zerg, which is kind of wild following the history of meching Terrans over the entirety of StarCraft II. And so Bjorn was able to stand strong all the way into the twilight of that game. Up until those Thors got abducted, I feel like he really had a fighting chance.
Yeah, and you kind of see what happens in a late game situation where you're going for a style that doesn't give you ghosts late in game against a lot of spellcasters from the Zerg. The Vipers, once they came out, you saw the momentum really start to swing for Shin. No EMPs available to be able to actually deny all the constant abducts and everything, and it really allowed him to just finally get the momentum and close it out. What are you
reading
laughing at,
the
Mr.
chat in
Stady
between the
Wadey?
game? These guys, Shin and Bjorn, are just such good friends. They are just chatting up a story. You can see Shin laughing right now, and same with Bjorn. No, Shin, like Bjorn after, is like, oh, like GG, well played, in the little group chat afterwards, and yeah, Shin's like, GG, Imba.
Yeah.
And he's like, Bjorn's like, if it was Imba, I would have won the game.
It does take something special to beat your opponent and then tell them that their units were OP.
I feel like Shin is probably the most vocal hater of Battle Mech. And honestly, I do respect it. I've always tried to be relatively unbiased with my casting, but I feel like the most biased I've ever been is just Battle Mech is so suffocating in the current iteration of StarCraft II. There is it's a bug, but it's been in the bug for like I don't know how many months now. I feel like basically the entire year we've had this bug. I don't know exactly the mechanics of it, but I think like the cooldown, the reset cooldown on the lock-on for the Cyclone is like a third shorter than it's supposed to be, or a quarter, and it's already relatively short. And most of the DPS of the Cyclone is obviously the lock-ons, right? Like, they just absolutely destroy right now. And yeah, Shin has been saying for so long, and also I feel like casting GSL is usually his losses are the most painful losses against Battle Mech too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here it is. It is in the game, and it lost the last game. It did not win, so that is still something that Shin can remember and use maybe in this game to keep himself motivated, perhaps.
Yeah, try not to tilt too hard now.
Yeah. But it was annoying, but he won, and that's really all that matters. Get the dubs in the end, and that is what Shin did. And this time it looked like it was yet again a CC first coming out of Beyond. Seems to be doing it very standardly these days, and it was working out pretty well for him at first, but yeah, we'll see if he ends up doing it. Okay, no, I was going to say it's going to go into Cyclones again, but no, it's going to be a second Rax coming up as well, so scratch that, probably no factories.
Yeah, more likely going to be bio play here coming in from Beyond. I'm actually looking at the map. I checked this one out before, but I think this is the first time I'm actually casting this map in RSL, and I'm not sure I've heard anyone pronounce it yet, so I'm kind of afraid of doing it myself.
All right, let's do it together, State. Really?
Selaganella?
Selaganilla.
One of us or both of us are horribly wrong. Selaganella? Is it like the kind of thing where like the double L becomes like a Y?
It sounds like Selaganella. I
don't know.
It's like
I haven't heard anyone pronounce this yet. Usually, the secret thing that I do whenever I see a map like this is I'll go into like the map directory or something, and I'll try to like find a game on like a Ligalak or on Liquipedia where it's like, okay, who actually played this? Was it casted? Okay, Pig casted it. He probably pronounced it right? Like, how does Pig say it? Because that's how I say it now. But yeah, I haven't really had that advantage with with this map right here. So
Selaganella. I like that. Selaganella kind of rolls off the tongue, not badly. You know, Selaganella. Sounds weird. It kind of sounds weird though.
There's no way that's right.
Something sounds strange about that.
There's no way that's right, but also I have nothing better to go off of. So
Selaganella.
That sounds more accurate, but I have no idea.
Something sounds strange about this name. I don't know what it is, but
no, we're gonna have to do some research after this one.
We need to go to Google and see how it pronounces this.
Yeah, I don't even know what language that's supposed to be in.
What was the other one? Like the Greek one, Alcyone?
Alcyone.
But that's apparently not
Isn't
how
it
you
like
pronounce it.
If you pronounce it in Greek, isn't it like Alcione or something?
Yeah,
but like
but
also,
that
I'm
sounds
never gonna
way
say
worse.
that. Yeah.
Alcyone is the coolest sounding map name. I love that name so much. And I don't care that it's wrong.
Yeah, map names have gone significantly harder over the history of StarCraft
Remember
II.
Ruddyset?
Yeah. I'm pretty good friends with sort of who is Swedish, and Radderset's like the name of a station in Sweden. And he would like watch the GSL, and he would message me on Discord after. He's like, "That's not how it's pronounced. Let's get on a call. I'm going to show you how it's pronounced." And then it just sounds like gibberish when he says it to me, and I'm like, "I'm not going to do that." If I pronounce it that way, there's going to be more questions than answers in the chat. Like people are like, "What are you even saying?"
It's time for a map. I
I don't think it was quite that comical, but yeah. Anyway, we have Bjorn going for relatively similar style as we saw him showcase, I think, in Game 1 and in Game 2, as we have that one engineering bay going down, not the double engineering base, so probably going to be a little bit faster tempo aggression and some kind of relatively delayed 2-2 upgrades coming in here for Bjorn. And with Shin, I wasn't paying attention to the production tab all that much, as I was just so caught up in debating the names of the maps. I think
the name was much more important.
Looking at this, I feel like he skipped link speed. Yeah, he does not have link speed, and there's additional gas guys getting taken. This might be, we're gonna have to wait and see the gas timing at the third base.
Build?
It might be my favorite build, Gemini. This might be a relatively fast Ultralisk play.
Oh, and you love to see that.
If we have an evolution chamber go down in like the next 15 seconds, I'm going to feel like it's basically Ultras. Otherwise, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, we have to wait and see.
Yep, going to be a double medevac drop for now from Beyond. Coming in over and getting another Overlord is nice. We'll be able to try and deny some extra creep or something. We'll try to deny that. Will be good, of course. Where is Shin's actual units? It feels like his roaches aren't really anywhere to be seen right now. They are going to be moving on towards the bottom there. Does move his Spore Crawler forward as well to be able to continue to deny the medevacs, make sure they can't just push forward willy-nilly. So that's very nice. We'll be able to push those back for now. And Beyond is, of course, going to be ramping back up for some more aggression later on. Whereas Shin, of course, will be getting up his drone count and actually throwing down that infestation pit as well. So we'll be trying to go into a fairly fast hive as well, I'd imagine, with this.
Yeah, it's my favorite build, Gemini.
You are all excited. You're all wiggly giggly right now, I'm sure.
I'm very wiggly giggly. I'm glad we're not on camera. It would be very embarrassing.
Ziggy, switch. Go to the camera. Show him.
Yeah, let's look at our terrible posture right now. Well, you know, with this kind of style, Gemini, he usually plays this like 66, 67 drones, which is just enough to saturate 3 full mineral lines and 6 Vespene geysers. And so, generally speaking, Shin doesn't mind too much not taking a 4th base. And that's usually the target when you play this kind of style for Beyond, right? Is you're roving around the map with these siege tanks, with these Marines. It's generally hard to go deep enough with your push to be able to take down the 3rd base, but you can't deny the 4th. And so I kind of like this style again against what Beyond is doing, because I am not sure Beyond is going to be able to find that angle of attack to get damage done on just a very tightly defended 3-base network of Shin, right? Like Shin can effectively wait until the Ultras get on the field, or he has a more significant army on the map before trying to take that 4th hatchery.
It's interesting because this kind of almost feels like how you would play like as a Protoss perspective almost, where you're like kind of just hunkering down on 3 base and then going heavier. Just skip that for a second because there's apparently a big drop that's actually doing more than I thought it was. I thought it was just going to get easily shoot away. Eventually does do that. So honestly, just a simple trade. But like you can see, Beyond's trying to like poke and prod it wherever he can, but he can't really. He can't really do much super crazy damage, just getting a few trades on some roaches. Like I said, it's kind of like a Protoss trying to, you know, sit back and just super tech late game to get the late game tech earlier, so that way they can really kind of just bolster their army and have just an incredible fighting power later in the game. And it's working well for Shin so far, and it's been doing well for him in some of the previous series as well. So we'll see how much the fast Ultras are able to do here, and whether or not Beyond is going to actually find any sort of room to stop this.
Well, the Ultras actually aren't coming onto the field nearly as quick as I thought they would with that infestation pit timing. The hive is now only halfway done, as Shin was showing a lot of respect for the push potential there of Beyond. Just sitting on 66 drones and pumping nothing but Ling, Roach, Ravager means that the standing army right now of Shin is quite potent. And actually, looking at the layout of this map, it's kind of interesting how you can just effectively take the entire right side, the top right corner and the bottom right corner. I hadn't considered that when I was looking at the map initially, this seems like it is a very good map for trying to play this style of Shin. I mean, that fourth base is so secure.
Yeah, it is quite easy to just kind of take that. It was blocked by some rocks as well. It was kind of interesting. There's like one little plate on the bottom there to disallow you from super quickly taking it or whatnot, but still is able to get it pretty safely. We'll be able to burrow a few roaches in. There is a missile turret there, so that will get notified for Beyond. We'll be able to smack that away very easily. No little shenanigans there for Shin with that little attempted run by. And honestly, that at least does kind of confirm to Shin that the army is sitting back home. He doesn't have to worry too much more other than just these medevacs out on the field. So that does at least give him a little bit of breathing room. Any scouting information like that is always going to be good. But now the army is starting to move out on the top with this drop on the bottom right-hand side. And this is where things are going to get pretty tricky for Shin. His ultras are not quite out just yet, and his army is fairly brittle. Will he be able to actually deny this army from going across the map?
I think that's going to be a key point of contention right now for Shin, because the timing of these ultras +2 infantry weapons will complete here for Beyond when this push commences. And we're not going to have +2 armor for Shin, and we're not going to have Ultra Carapace upgraded either. So that's one of the reasons why Shin right now is making 27 Banelings and even building, I think, a second Baneling nest just for safety. Yeah, because we do have Baneling speed still getting researches. He wants a lot of firepower right now. He does not want this window to get exploited where there aren't armor upgrades on those Ultras. And actually, it's slow Banelings. Baneling speed is still not yet done. Oh, the siege tanks, they're focus firing them down. There is a blinding cloud to shield the first one, and now Shin is going to retreat. He lost a lot of Banelings there, but what he was able to do was buy himself a little bit more time.
That was actually crazy. There were so many blinding clouds. It was like a highway of blinding clouds over all the Marines and where they kept running back to. So it allowed the Banelings to still stay alive just long enough to get the Baneling speed done to where now he can kind of try to put this, but going off creep feels too much. I'm not quite sure he really needed to dislodge it that heavily, and it did kind of 22 Banelings being lost in that engagement. Definitely feels like an overextension from Shin.
Yeah, I think he just really wanted to take down those siege tanks, but was it worth it? Still, the bio very low on HP after all of this simming, all of this kiting. Bjorn does not have a lot of sustain, but just enough to take down that hatchery. Still, it is a 3-base Shin, excuse me, as he can resaturate that base all the way down at the bottom right. So the mining isn't disrupted too much right now for the Zerg player. We do have the Ultras getting on the field. Bjorn has been able to add in 2 additional barracks with Tech Lab, so the Marauder count is going to be a little bit higher than it was in the game where Shin was basically just able to do a leg sweep with the initial Ultra push. I feel like if any one of these games between Bjorn and Shin is going to be going into like a supreme late game, it might actually be this one, because I'm not sure that Shin has enough on the field to actually close this one out, but I say that. We have another hatchery getting sniped here. We might not have that late game. The damage is really piling up right now to Shin's economy. Losing one hatchery, you can kind of make do with that from Shin's perspective, but he's effectively triple expanding to take the top right and the center base and eventually the bottom right down again.
And right now, this army movement from Beyond is unscouted. Shin did not know that this was happening. Used his army on the bottom side. Will be able to catch a giant train of transferring SCVs, which is nice. But now he's got a decision. He's got to make a snap decision on where he wants to fight. Does he go for a base trade or does he go home? It's going to be the base trade for now, sending his units into the natural and third base while sending some of the other ones back home to try and defend, because Beyond also is not actually going to run back either. And now this is going to get super scrappy. And I don't think that late game situation is going to be happening anytime soon here.
Absolutely not. These armies just kind of moving on opposite sides of the maps. And now we have Shin. So there is a lot of production here in Bjorn's third base that can get lifted, but the fact that it is 3 barracks and oh my goodness, look at this concave on the top of the ramp. The Banelings not getting the best connections until the very end, finally able to connect with those Marines. I thought that was going to go way better for Bjorn than it actually did, but Shin was able to finally parry that. Shin still on 2 hatcheries. Bjorn, looking at the minimap, he still has 3 command centers up. Shin sent a lot of the army back from Bjorn's side of the map to defend. He was able to deny +3 infantry armor, but not +3 infantry weapons. And I feel like looking at the army supplies, it is still very even. We have 2 infestors that will be finishing for Shin shortly. And the fact that, you know, Bjorn in a situation like this one on 24 SCVs, you want to be dropping mules. I'm curious how many scans we're going to have available, because 1 or 2 sneaking infestors in a situation like this one if you can connect with a bio ball, that can basically just be GG, right?
That is true, and what it also allows you is to do this little burrow roach movement to see where the army is coming and jump it before the Terran is expecting, and we'll get a massive engagement. So many medevacs getting killed off, and the bio forced to run back home as well. This army is seemingly unstoppable right now.
Oh, the parasitic bomb too, almost killing even more medevacs. They are so low on HP. Beyond, he's got 65 army supply, but a lot of what you see is right here in the medevacs, and that's going to be Shin winning this one 3-1. What a crazy way to end this series with that base trade. I was not anticipating that.
That was awesome, knowing that there was going to be so few scans on the map. Burrowing just that one roach to send it forward, to get any sort of intel, to know where the army is moving. He was getting outpositioned earlier on in the game, and that one move allows him to jump it while Beyond was not expecting it. And if Beyond actually was able to set that engage up properly with enough time to react, I think that could have gone totally differently. But since he was not prepared, Shin capitalizing and will end it in a solid fashion.
Yeah, I was really thinking that game had the potential to go late because there was some significant parity after that hatchery got taken out, because Beyond, you know, he transitioned better into getting Marauders, the upgrades, the differential wasn't quite as severe as it was the previous time that Shin went for that build earlier on in this series. But the fact that we had Beyond's army all the way in the top right and then Shin just at the bottom left, and they just effectively go blow for blow with each other and initiate really a wild base trade, just completely turn that on its head. And anytime there's a base trade like that one, I generally like to favor the Terran, especially seeing that concave that Beyond had at the top of the ramp, but Shin just with barely enough Bailings to connect with those Marines on the left side of that concave absolutely turned the tide, and that's gonna be a 3-1 win. I'm telling you, man, Zerg's actually showing up pretty strong in this tournament.
Yeah, man, we got plenty of strong ones coming on in. It's been pretty cool. I mean, I feel like Shin is playing a pretty interesting style as well. Like you said, it's your favorite style, and I think it's fun and interactive. It's very interesting. Obviously, seeing Ultras do well after years and years of being memed out as being the Ultras into lose strategy, whatever. Like, you know, it's kind of fun to see them doing really well. The Infestors getting crazy fungals here and there is always really fun as well. So, yeah, I don't know. It's been pretty good. Solid for Shin so far.
Fellas, if you want to help the RSL grow, go to youtube.com/ReviveSC2, x.com/ReviveSC2. We're trying to build up our social media platform, just work with the algorithm a little bit, get some more subscribers. In my opinion, the Revive SC2, the whole RSL team did a big facelift of the RSL YouTube page over the last week, because things were kind of hectic with just live stream VODs and then the videos just being a little bit scattered. But there is now, if you're a Patreon, you'll have it in your email address, but there is now a playlist on that YouTube channel, completely spoiler free. You can go through from day one all the way until the end of the RSL. It is a fantastic way to watch your favorite games.
For sure.
And guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we get back, the second best of 5 and the final best of 5 of the day, Clem versus Raynor. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, everybody, to the RSL playoffs. It is week 3. We are 4 days away from crowning an RSL champion. I really botched this intro, man. we are a few days away from crowning an RSL champion, and we are right now going through the lower bracket. This is an elimination best of 5 between 2 of the favorites entering this tournament, Rainer and Clem. I think nobody was expecting these guys to be in the lower bracket, or maybe if they're in the lower bracket, they meet like in the lower bracket finals, but one of them is going home today.
Yes, and it's going to be pretty action-packed, I imagine. I mean, Clem and Rainer, you can't really ask for a better match than that overall. One of, if not the best Terran player of the recent last couple years. And then Rainer, of course, up there with Cyril as one of the best Zergs. And obviously, I think both of these players are maybe a little bit annoyed that they're playing each other so early on in this tournament.
Yeah, it has been really a season of upsets. You know, Hero getting knocked out in round 1 of the playoffs, and then getting knocked out in round 1 of the lower brackets of the playoffs as well by Rainer's hand, I believe.
Yep.
It has been a shakeup.
Yeah,
to say the least.
And then Clem even losing to Classic, I feel like is not really in a 3-1 fashion.
Yeah.
Is I feel like not what many people would have predicted as well. And so, we have a Cure Classic upper bracket as well, which is, obviously great players, but it's, when we have Clem and Rainer in the bottom brackets, it feels a little reversed a little bit. But
yeah.
Regardless, it is what we've got, and it's going to be very exciting. Of course, it ups the stakes, makes it much more engaging and interesting when one of the best in the world is about to bow out.
Yeah, this is going to be a really hard-hitting match. 2 of, in my opinion, the most mechanically gifted players StarCraft II has ever seen going head-to-head. I mean, the multitasking on these guys is insane. I know that both of them have practiced in the past in, like, Archon mode.
Yeah,
with, 3 or 4 or 5 pros playing the other race.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, it is. It is giga hardcore. They're like Goku training in the gravity chamber in DBZ or something.
Literally.
All right. Kill Switch is going to be map number 1. For some reason, I feel like this is always map number 1 of the series.
With that? I was going to say the same thing. That's interesting, yeah.
Rainer spawning as the blue Zerg in the left side. Clem, the red Terran, on the right side in this best of 5. One of these players is getting knocked out today. One of them is going to move on to face Shin in the lower bracket semifinal.
Yes, I'm very curious to see what ends up happening. If there's any switch-ups or any kind of deviation from what we were seeing in just the previous series. Of course, having 2 TVZs back-to-back gives us that opportunity to kind of compare and contrast a little bit. Will Rainer like to go for some of that fast ultra play that we've been seeing Shin do a lot? Is Clem going to be going super aggressive, or is he going to be trying to stall it out more and just kind of go for that super late game split map scenario that we sometimes used to see? I feel like anything is really on the cards. I feel like these players are just good at anything they would try to do, almost. So I don't really blame any of them for going for any certain strategies.
Look how slow this Overlord is, Gemini.
They're usually slow, but that dude, man, he's like, he just woke up 2 minutes ago or something. Like he's tired, man.
It looks like he's zooming now. It looks like Overlord Speed just finished researching when it moves out of that zone. Yeah, I'm curious what the build is going to be here from Rainer. I feel like, generally speaking, from Rainer, he's the kind of Zerg that I expect to hit, like, really push the envelope in terms of drone production, right? Like, go to 80, 90, like, high 90 drone counts as fast as possible. But on Kill Switch, I feel like this is the least favorable map for that style of all of the maps in the current map pool. We see a lot of Zerg players going for roach openings, even skipping Link speed on this map because of that. And just staying on relatively low drone counts, kind of playing the same like 3-hatch, 6-gas style where you go for a fast time and go into ultras. I feel like if we're going to see that from Rainer in this series, is it's catching on as Shin continues to have success with it. This is probably the map where we're most likely to see it, but it's hard to say. You know, one of the things about Raynor and Clem is both these players will be trying to vie for that World Championship title in Riyadh in just a little bit, is that they are just both so incredibly good at this game, and they have massively wide ranges of what they can do.
Yeah. And I feel like they also just generally have so many reps against each other. It's like these top players just kind of keep going at it against each other in all these different tournaments, in the online cups. Raynor doesn't play in as many of the online cups as Clem does, of course, but still they obviously practice against each other all the time. They play against each other all the time. So all these little extra mind games coming into play as well is something that they always have to keep tabs on. Nice to be able to pick off a drone here from Clem. Unfortunately, just a little bit too late from Raynor. Wanted to get those minerals in before morphing it into the spore, and kind of costs him just a little bit. So not something you normally see from the early Reaper engagement.
Yeah, it's smart by Clem to know that Raynor would be taking that top left base. Is that starting to catch on here in the RSL?
Yeah.
Zergs are figuring out that you want to mine out those minerals and take that corner expansion. And then exploiting that to get a drone is just very nice, as we actually do have that Roach Warren coming in here for Raynor. So probably is going to be, you know, at least a Roach-based mid-game here with a fast Evo too.
Yeah, there's no fast lair with this, so it doesn't seem like he's going to be rushing into, you know, higher tech just yet, but just with that Roach and Evo chamber, maybe just trying to play it to, you know, super solid, make sure he doesn't die to the Hellion stuff and whatnot, but maybe he could also end up turning this to be aggressive. I'm not quite sure how he's going with this.
This is such a cool approach coming out from Raynor. The full wall off on the natural expansion. Now the only entrance into the natural is basically through the front door of the third base. Oh, this is cool. I don't think we've seen this yet from the Zergs in RSL, this double Evo and Roach Warren wall. It is a little bit of a double-edged sword, because if Terran has like a bio and siege tanks near that natural expansion, you risk losing the Roach Warren and both evolution chambers. So you kind of, I feel like it might force you into a lower drone count style just because you need to have enough army to defend that front location, but yeah, very cool approach from Raynor.
I like just kind of seeing this develop in front of our eyes. Like, we've just had this map in just for a couple days, basically, and the pros have already kind of maneuvered around it a little bit to find little things here and there, like taking that upper third base instead, now trying out this kind of forward wall, which is yet to be discovered or just kind of experienced, I guess, just to understand how much this will actually benefit Raynor. But for now, the Banshee's going to be coming over to the top side. We'll just poke around, not being able to do too much just yet. That's not expected to get crazy damage before Cloak is done. And this Reaper has just got overtime duty, whacking away at this Roach Warren at the front. With enough time, little buddy, you'll get there. You'll kill that.
I mean, if the Banshee joins in, which it might,
True.
he could potentially take that one down, or at least force the Queens away. Hey, look at this.
How long does it take a Reaper to kill a Roach Warren, I wonder?
Quite a while. Many minutes, but... Oh, so there is an angle. Okay, there is an angle that you can have the Queen there in the main base to actually hit that Banshee as it wails away at that Roach Warren. And this Reaper getting a phenomenal scout, by the way. Sees the, I believe that's the infestation pit.
Yeah.
And the 4 gases. And he also knows no link speed, so Clem should have a very good idea of exactly what this approach is going to be. What Kira has done in the past to deal with this approach has been to go into really heavy Marauder production, like 4 or 5 tech labs on the barracks with an 8 racks right out of the gate, so that you aren't really quite on such a heavy timer versus the Ultralisks as you would be if you played the gun style of literally just 1 tech lab, 4 stim, 4 combat shields. We'll have to wait and see if that's what Clem's approach is going to be in this game.
Yeah, for now, the Banshees will just continue to shark around and basically do Hellion duty, where they're just trying to deny as many creep tumors as possible. Because I don't believe we actually made any Hellions. Maybe just one I missed somewhere. But it is just going to be those Banshees for now, just to try and clear as much creep and allow this forward push from Clem to come on out. Marine and tank on the way. Combat shield is quite a ways away, so that's not actually going to come into this fight. We'll just go right into it, getting one of the Ravagers and the Queens and forcing the army back for Raynor. We'll be able to actually get this hatchery. He's leaving it alive for now, but that's really, I feel, a pretty risky move, because it's, I think, going to definitely get canceled here. That's a massive amount of Marines.
Yeah, I mean, Raynor was pushing 77 drones during this push, and for reference, Shin, when he's usually defending these, like we saw him do versus Byun, he's sitting around like 66, 67 drones, and so a 10 drone differential, you could really see it kind of manifest in the lack of units to defend that 4th base. right? Is Raynor does get punished a little bit for it. Those drones probably just going to be distance mining from that 4th base for a long time now as that Ultralisk Cavern gets thrown down.
Yeah, this is really going to falter Raynor's momentum trying to get into this late game tech. I mean, not having that 4th base set up is going to really just, I don't know, kind of just deny any of that, I feel like. And Clem is just free to kind of go again if he really wants to. Doesn't want to get caught at the bottom of this ramp, though, as he will with a nice fungal from Raynor. That's not what Clem wanted in that situation, but will be able to still bounce back a little bit considering how well Marine and Marauder does trade versus just a simple Roach Ravager army. So it doesn't take insane losses, but that was still a nice pickoff for Raynor and something that he needed given the fact that he lost his 4th base just before.
Yeah, that was a brilliant move by Raynor. You know, Clem just was not anticipating Raynor's army moving so far off creep, but the fact that it's so unexpected, and honestly on paper, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but because it's unexpected, he gets this gigantic fungal off and is able to whittle down the bio count quite considerably there, and that might buy him a little bit of breathing room before these Ultras get out.
Yeah, we also saw back in the main base tons of tech labs already on the barracks for Clem. So like you were saying, more like Cure going for a massive Marauder switch in anticipation of all these Ultralisks that are about to be spawning out. These 2 Banshees still alive somehow. They're just kind of picking away continually at the most random corners of the map and stretching Raynor thin. Another great fungal coming out. Nice split though. Will be able to go away from the bios, but this is going to make it much more difficult for Clem to try and walk up in here. If he takes a fat fungal like that again, that's going to be really difficult.
Raynor right now on 78 drones. Oh man, it's going to be tough to defend this expansion though. Ultra armor is still quite some ways away. Raynor's just going to pull the trigger right now and attack in. He is setting up a flank, looking at the mini-map. Just in the 6 o'clock of this position, and now attacking in on both sides. The full surround coming in from Raynor. Carapace and armor for the Ultras is not done yet, but the fight for Raynor, he says it is too good not to take. He's able to take down all the siege tanks, force the Terran bio back, and then once Clem closes in again, finally all the upgrades are done.
Yeah, this is going to be perfect timing if Raynor's going to be able to make it work, expertly microing these Ultralisks back to make sure they do not die, keeping all of them alive, throwing out bios as well to force the bio back so they cannot fully attack. This is looking very good for Raynor given the very intense situation that he was just put himself in. And so now he's going to be able to get more Ultras, more Infestors to make it so that way his army continues to be extremely difficult to kill. Those 2 Banshees somehow still alive with 2 HP like a piece, it seems like. Somehow just not really dying. Massive turret ring as well in the main base. Is
for
going
the Banshees.
To, yeah, it's going to also help a little bit versus this medevac drop, but it will still spread Raynor thin as they're not quite able to dislodge those completely. Fungals continue to be excellent for Raynor as Clem fails to make it forward into this Zerg territory.
That was so insane. I think we barely missed it. Not only did he fungal, he dropped 3 Changeling Marines, and I think he put them on hold position to try and block the units on the ramp.
Bro.
That was, dude, Raynor is so flashy with his control. I mean, the last 3 engagements have been so well done from the Italian Zerg. But Clem, you know, he is bar none, one of the best Terran players in the world, arguably the best, and so he is still putting up a hell of a fight right now as he's microing all the way backwards. Gonna have to lift up, no fungal to force the bio onto the ground right now. But Raynor, he's splitting his forces. Now it's his time to start levying this pressure. He's attacking right here by this 3rd base while simultaneously hitting the expansion at the center.
Yeah, this is going to do a lot of damage. SCV is forced to pull away. Unfortunately, Raynor can't quite get on top of them, so those will evacuate nicely. No real SCV damage just yet, and he's even going to try to funnel onto the PF. I don't know if he's actually going to be able to get that. It feels like there was a lot there, and a nice surround from the extra bio as well, and the PF stands with only 12 workers dying, and suddenly Clem takes the win.
Wow.
That, why did that end like that? That was insane. What a commitment from Raynor. I was not expecting that.
That was too hectic for us to follow. Even Mopper, our observer, was struggling a little bit to catch all the action right there. But I think just the issue of having the forces segmented off just like that, and then, as you said, the PF, he wasn't quite able to take it down. Slowly, those units eventually got cleaned up, and then just something about that attack over at the central base for Clem, it just did not quite work out. Things were looking so good for Raynor up until that point, and then just in one fell swoop. I mean, Clem is such a dangerous opponent. Imagine playing that game from Raynor's perspective, where you have these brilliant fights, you make these great moves, and things seem relatively stable, and then just one false move. Attacking in at 2 different points, Clem takes favorable trades on both sides and the game is over. That is wild, Gemini.
Yeah, I think the extension onto the PF was a risky move for sure. I mean, obviously, Raynor's insanely better than me in any capacity. But regardless, I felt like it was still... it just didn't feel like he needed to go that hard with the counter aggression. I felt like he was defending pretty well. Maybe just miscalculating a tiny bit, not quite realizing where all the forces were. Getting surrounded by the other medevacs, dropping the bio at the top as well. Made it really difficult, of course. But yeah, very action-packed game, just but a very sudden end.
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of is the way things go sometimes on Kill Switch, right? It is, in my opinion, probably the hardest ZVT map that we regularly see played. I'm sure there's one that's worse than it because it's getting, we're not seeing it because it's getting vetoed by the Zergs, but it feels like on Kill Switch, unless the Zerg is somehow able to find some clutch timing, it's almost always the Terran pulling out the win. I mean, the third-to-third distance is so close. It is so hard to expand past 3 or 4 bases there for Raynor, and so now, moving to Persephone for map number 2, this is a lot more expansive. I feel like this is probably one of these maps that still, in my opinion, favors Terran a little bit, if only because the speed zones on the right side are so nice to use for drops, but it'll certainly be a lot better here for our Italian Zerg. Is spawning in the top left in blue, it is Raynor, or top left in the blue and Raynor, and Clem, the bottom left, red Terran.
Nice. Yeah, I'm curious what ends up happening here, of course, now that Persephone is the map that we're playing, considering, like you said, it is just, it's easier to take many bases, you're much farther away from everybody, so you're not just kind of forced into these awkward situations super early. And so is Raynor going to go for, again, what we were just seeing, or is he going to try something a little bit different? It was interesting, too, because that game also was with the extra drone count, like we were saying, whereas Shin normally goes for less drones on that, and he was initially not really defending it perfectly. It was that extra fungal, I feel like, in that engagement following the initial attack that really kind of gave him a little bit more momentum back. So can he actually get away with that style on a map like this, where it's a little bit more open and it kind of gives him a little bit more breathing room?
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, Raynor during his cast, when he was breaking down some of his thoughts on ZVT, said that usually about, I think it was 76 drones, unless I'm mistaken, was around how many he would personally shoot for. It's kind of like the standard fair response to something like an 8 racks. But a little bit of a different approach there, as we had the fast ultras coming in, and as we said, Shin, who is the most established player doing this build. I think he was the first one to really play it to significant success at Dallas about a month ago. Like I said, it's usually around 66, 67 drones. And so, you know, you go up to 70 plus, that makes the 4th base getting canceled very painful. For Shin, he can kind of shrug it off because 66 drones, that fully saturates 3 bases, including the gases. But like 76, those 10 drones are effectively doing nothing unless you can secure the 4th hatchery. And yeah, it's curious because in theory, like if you're able to defend perfectly there from Raider's perspective, certainly it's better to have those extra drones.
Yeah,
you have the 4th base as well if it's
You're
safe.
Skyrocket.
Against somebody like Clem, that is just such a dangerous proposition.
Yes, for sure. Clem, very good at just kind of finding any moment to take a win whenever he can, of course. Going for a 3cc build this game, it looks like, so we'll be getting that out pretty quickly. Is Clem someone to dabble with the Cyclone stuff? Is he gonna bring it? I feel like generally he just kind of plays it pretty standard. I don't know if he's really a battle mech guy.
I feel like if we were to see that, oh wow, it would be right now. I was right all along, Gemini.
That's so good.
Is it actually the second factory? Yeah, it is. Wow.
Yeah,
That's.
I looked into the future, man. Look at me. Look at this little Protoss player go. Holy moly.
Yeah, that is impressive. I was going to say, honestly, that I wouldn't expect to see it with a 3rd CC coming in so quickly. I would expect something more akin to like an 8 racks play. But yeah, it's going to be a really fast second factory coming off the back of a very greedy 3rd command center. And so this is a bit of a shakeup here for Clem. I usually don't see him play battle mech style all that much.
Yeah, I feel the same, honestly. But I'm honestly very curious to see his take on it. I want to see how well he does with it. Obviously, someone with micro of his stature is going to be very difficult to deal with. So we'll see how quickly Raynor can identify that this is happening as well, as that's extremely important from the Zerg to know what exactly you're facing against, so that way you can alter your style and just know when you need to be taking engagements and whatnot. Clem trying to do as much damage as possible and pulling them away at the perfect timing. I should not have doubted that, but in my head I was like, what is he doing? But perfectly done there. We'll be able to bring those on back and repair them up as well later. As the rest of these Hellions start to come on out. We'll see if Raynor does want to suicide any Overlord into the main or anything like that to get that further information, but for now he will be in the dark.
Clem hasn't been adding tech labs onto these factories just yet. I think probably because the economy can't quite sustain the Cyclone production with such a fast third CC, but he has been making a lot of Hellions as a result of that. He's been just building them 3 at a time. And this is going to be many more Hellions than I think Raynor would anticipate. If he is watching with a keen eye, he would have seen just for a moment those extra Hellions come out onto the map. And I don't know if we're going to have enough Lings to deal with this, because if Clem just decides to go for a full dive, this is so many Hellions, Gemini.
This is, how do you expect this many Hellions at this time? Nice attempted surround. Actually, a successful one. Denies the Hellions from moving forward for just a little bit, but they will still get through. This is so many Hellions getting onto these drones. 8 dead in total already. Going up into the main base, a couple of buildings trying to block the Queen, trying to help as well, and will just be able to deny that to allow more of these units to come on back. This is good crisis management so far from Raynor, but he's got to keep these extra drones alive so that way he can keep his economy going. 12-13 as well now as another hit squad goes into the third.
Oh man, the initial surround there was beautiful from Raynor, but he wasn't anticipating so many Hellions coming in. 17 drones in total have fallen now as the militia being called the drones fighting for their lives, able to take down a Hellion themselves. But you could just see the payoff of adding that second factory production in. 3 Hellions at a time. We have the dive come in from Clem and 20 drones in total go down. And also during that moment, we weren't seeing very many drones in production from Raynor either, because it's kind of all hands on deck. You need to make Lings to try and stop the bleeding before you can really start droning back up again. And so now we have a Clem, who was already behind all of that, by the way, taking the third base on the low ground, is now saturating the geysers there, is pumping Battle Mech on 5 factories against a Raynor who's stuck at 53 drones. He is getting some more out on the field right now, but in a moment, he's going to have to go all gas and no brakes in terms of unit production to try and just stabilize against these 5 factories, right?
Yeah, I love this little switch up that Clem does with it, just adding all those extra Hellions. It really just makes a very awkward timing from the Zerg's perspective. And sure, now as the Terran, of course, the upgrades will be a little bit later on the Battle Mech because he was able to, focusing so much on the Hellions at first. So that will at least alter the window as well there for Raynor, so that he will have a slight amount of breathing room before the Cyclones go too crazy. But I feel like the damage is well worth it from Clem's perspective. That was an excellent move from him, and it's going to allow him to safely, very safely, in fact, get up to that Battle Mech comfortable window with those upgrades anyways. And I think he's going to be feeling pretty good about his situation. I mean, there's a little Ling run by trying to go on the right-hand side, but I feel like this is like half of Raynor's army.
The armory is finishing up with Blue Flame. If Clem turns these into Hellbats, I'm not sure Raynor can survive with the comp that he's got. I mean, it's a lot of Queens, but with that many Cyclones behind it, I mean, here are the Hellbats, Gemini. This is a massive army. Raynor has a lot of forces on the back. The Fungal is beautiful on the front line, but there just isn't enough firepower behind it. Clem stutter stepping forward with the Hellbats, with the Cyclones. GG is called, and Clem takes map number 2. It is now match point.
That was fast. And you even noticed Raynor didn't even move with that counterattack. Those Lings just were sitting there. I think he was a bit frazzled at that moment, just being like, oh my god, this is so much stuff. I've never really seen Raynor kind of forget about a run by. I feel like he's always going to be, you know, on it, just trying to do as much damage as possible with those. But that was a massive push coming in, and that, sure, the Fungal came out at a nice time, was able to get the pretty much full radius shot, but if you have no units to back it up, it doesn't really matter that you're getting one of those huge Fungals off.
Yeah, and for Raynor, I mean, you're just in kind of a tough position because he was droning, building nothing but drones effectively after that Hellion run by, and he had just equalized with Clem. Like, the work counts just got even. So it's like, what, you're going to make enough units to defend this, and then your economy is just worse than the Terran? It kind of feels like the initial round of Hellions getting into the natural, into the main base, into the third base, killing 20+ drones, kind of was just the initial nail in the coffin. With that follow-up coming in from Clem, that was a nasty timing.
That was
the
crisp.
Armory, Blue Flames, and the upgrade on the Cyclones all finished up within like 2 seconds of each other.
Yeah.
It was so crisp.
Yeah, I love builds like that, man. There's like the classic 1-2 punch. You just come in with the crazy aggression at first, which isn't super committed, but has a very obvious follow-up to it. And you nail the timing with it, have everything work out, and it just completely obliterated him. It felt like, actually, before I say that, before I start talking about Protoss, how about you become an absolutely awesome person and help us on the Patreon? We would love you to support our endeavor here to make RSL a supported thing in the future, and I hope you do that. Go ahead, say something. I was taken off guard by that switch, I'll be honest.
No, you're fine, Gemini. Yeah, if you guys want to contribute to the Patreon and supporting the RSL, we have a couple different tiers. Not just the tiers that you see on screen, but there's tiers above this, there's tiers between this, maybe one below this, I'm not sure about that, but whatever level of contribution that you feel is appropriate, we would more than welcome your support. As you know, we're trying to carry the torch here in StarCraft II. After EWC is wrapped next week, or what? Well, 1 week, 2 weeks? It's coming up very soon. There isn't too much StarCraft in the pipeline already lined up, but you know, with RSL, at least at the current level of support, confirmed for 2 more seasons for this year, so that's gonna be a pleasure. And yeah, we sincerely support sincerely appreciate the support of the community. Anyway, guys, we're gonna go to a short break. When we continue on the final games of this series between Clem and Raynor, we'll be right back.
What's up, everybody? Tasteless has been tagged back in, WWE style. In between the cast, I was reaching my hands through the ring, and Stay goes, GG, boom, just taps me in.
You
Drooling on myself. I can't even
crawl
talk.
under the desk, come
I
right
crawl
back
in.
up.
I hit the cast with a stop sign. What's up, everybody? This has been a very one-sided series so far. I'm hoping we get it back and forth, but Clem right now is playing incredibly well, and he's actually sick at the moment, so it's kind of wild to see that he's doing this much of a good job.
Yeah, I was. I was expecting to doubt him a little bit with, since he was a little bit sick. We got that information, but I learned today that I should never doubt Clem, ever.
No.
I feel like he's just always going to be on top of his game. He's always going to be a threat. And if that last game that we just saw is any indication of the level he's at, I think he should be sick more often.
Yeah, he needs to be poisoning himself all the time so he can perform as well as he is right now. We're going to be hopping into the game in a second here. I'm hoping that Rainer can come back. Rainer's been in incredible form, but it is tough when you're down 0-2 to come back and win 3 games in a row.
Yeah. I'm curious if Clem is also going to try to do more of that battle mech style, because I feel like me and State were saying we don't really see him do that very often, and the fact that he brought it out and it was just instantly effective, I thought was pretty surprising. I'm curious if he does a different style of it as well, but regardless, Rainer definitely has an uphill battle to keep his dreams alive in this first RSL season because, again, this is the lower bracket. You might not expect it if you just tuned in and saw the names, but this is actually, yes, the lower bracket.
I know it's crazy that one of these guys is about to get eliminated. We are going to go into this next game here. Again, Clem, you were talking about using that mech style. I think when we think of Clem, we don't default into that play style, more like Gumiho or somebody like that. But let's see what he goes for. I mean, it does appear that mobile mech style is extremely strong, and I can't really say I blame him for just going whatever he thinks is going to work for him. It's going to be Rainer here in the bottom left and Clem in the top right. Interestingly enough, these 2 European players, both former world champions, are now residing in Korea, not far from our studio here.
It's true. Yeah, it was kind of funny. I think State said, we're sending one of them home already, and I almost made the joke, well, actually, that's just right over there.
Yeah, you can,
they're not going anywhere. They're right next to us, actually.
We've been getting dinner and drinks with these guys after some of the casts. But, both these guys deciding to reside in Korea until it is time to go to EWC, which, again, is just around the corner. Our tournament is one of the last tournaments here.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of weird because I'm used to... I've been doing StarCraft II for so long. StarCraft II is 15 years old now?
Yep.
So I'm so used to saying, before I go to BlizzCon, we're going to wrap up StarCraft for the year. And now it's kind of weird because of the Esports World Cup. It's really in the middle of the year, but this is sort of the entire... supposed to be the entire year of StarCraft here. Anyways, these 2 guys in great form. Also, 2 players who are very likely to actually win the entire World Championship in Riyadh. Hopefully we get a game 4 and a game 5 here. Yeah,
it would be obviously great to see this go a bit more the distance, and I for sure would not have been expecting this to be a 3-0 from either of them. I would have expected this to be much closer overall. So Rainer, of course, like we were saying before, has now got all the pressure on him to bring this back, needs to win every single game from now on to be able to move further along into the bracket, and it's going to be quite difficult. Sorry, I caught you right as you're coughing there.
Keep casting, I'm coughing. Clem just really able to get a lot done here on the map. We'll see if Rainer tries to really change his strategies or his play style, or if he just wants to try to buckle down a little bit harder. TVZ is so much about these interactions in the middle of the map. Can the Terran shave off enough of the Zerg's army and then kite away without losing too much? And over time, does that basically just accumulate into enough damage that in this big tug of war that sometimes goes on for 15, 20 minutes in a game, does that damage accumulate up to the point where you get a win?
Oh! Yeah, oh my god, nice save there from Rainer. He actually body blocked his own drone there for a second, but luckily was just able to get the spore morphing in time. So keeps that alive, doesn't lose it just like the last game. So a nice little start there already for Rainer, but regardless, this is still, slight damage here and there. It's not going to be super game ending or anything. And it's going to be just another 3cc coming out of Clem here. We'll see if this drone actually stays alive and will be able to do that. So, double Hellion coming out here for Clem already. Will it be more factories, or are we going to be going more into barracks yet again? We'll see in just a moment. It will be a starport, so I'd be very surprised to see if we do see any extra factories.
Yeah, the Reaper has actually been in the game for an insanely long amount of time now. It's really been quite a
dodging
nuisance.
move.
Oh,
no
and he gets out.
Way.
There is no justice.
That's insane that he actually gets that away. That was a cute little dancing move that he was going back and forth there. But it is going to be going back more towards the standard stuff here for Clem. No battle mech, it looks like.
Okay, so the Hellions are just going to continue to roam around out here. Ling Speed's going to be finishing soon here. For now, it's going to be impossible to transfer drones over to this hatchery until we do finally get, defenders over here like Queens. Yeah. Excuse me, we've got a Liberator coming out here as well.
Yeah, the Liberator is interesting. I'm curious to see how this actually ends up being used, if it's just for harassment on the other side, wherever the Hellions are not. Or if he's going to maybe even try to keep it alive to try and go for some forward push with it, helping to siege as well. A couple extra Hellions even getting thrown in here as well. It's going to not just be a simple 4, it's going to be 6 in total going into Stim as well, so it's confirming that it will be a bio follow-up. But the initial Hellions still are going to be trying to get a good amount of damage done, as Clem will be trying to invest a little bit more. But that Overlord Scout will be able to see those extra couple ones coming out, so he should be prepared. Also sees that Liberator. Lots of good information for Raynor.
Yeah, that was a very, very valuable scout to come in there, and basically he knows, okay, this is roughly the trajectory of the game that Clem is going to try to bring. I don't think he's in any position to try to, like, deviate from what's going on. The scout was pretty perfectly timed to the point where Terran has to commit to this.
Yeah, it's going to be basically the harassment regardless. The spores are not quite done just yet, since that Liberator did still pop out pretty quickly, so we'll at least force some of these units away. The Hellions poking at the front to draw the Queens out, and so that will at least deny mining for quite a while. Not too many drone kills from it, but still a nice little poke is good. A couple drones caught on the rally there. Not quite sure where all those were going, as there's no base on that side, so a bit of a misrally for Raynor. And now the Liberator finding its path into the third base yet again, and forcing these Queens to run around. Will this actually end up being an incredible amount of damage yet? Where are these drones going? Oh my god, what was happening?
Yeah, it's almost like he's parked them just right over here. And, he kind of almost froze for a second there, I guess, because the Hellions never quite got in there, but that could have been premium damage.
That could have been terrible. If Clem, I think Clem maybe was repositioning the Liberator or something. Didn't quite notice those drones. If he had saw that, that would have been just, I feel like, game-ending damage almost.
So 6 o'clock is under a lot of pressure here. I don't see any Queens coming down here yet, but, Hellions are not exactly ideal for destroying buildings, right? They're much better for wiping out drones, lings, and creep tumors. Armor about to finish up. Clem getting on to that third base. Getting the armory here as well. I gotta say, I think Raynor is looking pretty okay so far, Yeah,
it was a bit awkward at first. The Liberator kind of did a little bit more than maybe he expected, but and the Hellions maybe seemed to throw him off a little bit, since that drone movement was a bit awkward, but it's still not an insane amount of damage. It was, pretty decent trade. I think Clem will overall be happy with what he got, but also knows that that wasn't any sort of crazy game-altering amount of damage, but it just kind of comfortably puts them both in a pretty even mid-game. These Lings finding their way into the natural and the main base, though, is going to be quite nice, so that's going to at least disrupt Clem here. SCVs are actually staying alive, but will finally get some connections in the main base. No units there to protect them just yet, and that's actually 5 SCVs getting killed off right there. More in the natural as well, so a great counterattack from Raynor, not expected by Clem. Does he have enough back at home to defend this push, though?
Yeah, more Lings are going to come down here now, and they're going to be able to completely surround this. Maybe a little bit of an overextension here from Clem. I'm not sure what he wanted to get done. Is the hatchery maybe low on HP? Was that what he was trying to go in there?
I'm not sure. I didn't see. I think he was maybe just expecting there to be less, since so much was committed to the counter.
Even then, even if you kill the hatchery, it's not worth losing that stuff.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. You have to win in a very specific way with Terran, not where you're trying to really ever sacrifice, but just always kind of be up in trades over time.
Yep. So yeah, a bit of an unfortunate move there for Clem to not notice those Lings going on by. And a second run by is already queued up as well, but will be caught by the Hellions this time, so that's nice. Infestors on the backside as well, defending against this Marine attack. Will be able to get almost all of those before they're able to get lifted up. So again, some pretty decent defensive moves from Raynor as he tries to set up this fast hive play, getting more of his infestors out, trying to get a big swell of lings so that way he doesn't die to any continual attacks from Clem, which is going to be set up right now with Hellbats this time.
Okay, so he's got the Hellbats parked out here. 3 infestors in the mix. Raynor, I think, looks pretty safe, but we'll see how the next couple pushes do here. Remember that on this map, every other base from here on out is kind of hard to hold. Like, you're definitely in a spot that Terran would be happy to push into. We've got the Hellbats in form over here. You know, maybe he couldn't have actually killed those reinforcements, but it did appear like there was a moment he could have tried to come in there and snipe that.
Oh my god, some of those medevacs were very low on HP. They were drifting slowly towards those queens. That could have been pretty bad for Clem, but does keep them alive. The Lings are going for a gigantic counter. Almost every single one of them is going, as he's going to just rely on the queens and infestors to try and to defend this push. And huge bottleneck being made with these Marines. Excellently done by Clem. Will completely thwart that side of the counter. And this is looking like a totally gigantic attack that is going to just bulldoze its way through. Don't laugh at me.
I don't know. I'm watching Gemini reach into the thesaurus in his mind and try to articulate. This attack is so huge, gigantic, and maybe I could say big as well.
It's large.
It's very
in
large.
size.
Sorry, I laugh at you there. So Raynor, in this epic moment, drives back Clem's army. Clem, bruised and battered, having lost many SCVs back at his base. This is kind of a weird position here because Raynor lost his 4th base, so he started a 4th and a 5th now. Clem lost a lot of workers and I think he's got a 4th base landed, but there's no SCVs there yet. I think Clem can still push. There's still a world where Clem can close this out. It's going to really come down to whether or not Raynor can destroy or surround or smash that army or wipe out. No, I'm doing it. Yeah. In this attack that's medium, average sized, normal.
Oh my god. The infestors have been excellent from Raynor. They're the only thing keeping him alive, and they're going to continue to do so. These tags are ridiculous. I've never seen that many Widow Mines attack a single Ultra either.
Now we know how many Widow Mines it takes to kill one Ultra.
That was pretty ridiculous. But yeah, no, these trades, despite all of our laughter, has been incredible from Raynor. I can't believe how well he was able to defend, despite his counterattacks getting thwarted every single time. And now Clem seemingly on the back foot after all of these engagements. Look at the gas loss from Raynor. He's barely lost anything. Almost all of it has been Lings. So very nicely done by him to keep all of his high-tech units alive. These Widow Mines have not been dealt with, though, so that's going to get a couple little shots over there on the Queens. It's a bit awkward. Needs to clear those up. But overall, Raynor stabilizing fairly well, I would say.
Yeah, Raynor's looking pretty good. The more Ultras he's got, the more that he can basically trample everything that Terran has. The Ultras, they soak up so much damage. They wipe out Marines clumped up so easily. Clem is still rebuilding. I mean, and we should point out, like, Raynor needs to have more bases. You can't be 4 base versus 4 base for this long in the game. Clem does not want to commit to a push yet. He's going to go for drops, not a bad idea. Ling, Ultralisk gets the same problem that Roach Ravager have, in that they can't really do anything to drive away the medevacs.
Yeah, the anti-air is generally lacking, of course. You do have your queens there to be able to do the anti-air, but you have to make sure they're all in the same location, because otherwise they're not going to really do too much. Ling counterattack yet again going to the 3rd base, but will be dealt with as this drop will force this hatchery down, and will be able to get that without losing too much at all. So nice little poke from Clem to find some more momentum his way. Very weak medevac over on the left side. Still going to decide to go in with it. That's surprising. Clem, of course, always the bold one to try and do anything he can with even the little smallest amount of units. So we'll try to get something with these 4 Marines, but yeah, not really going to find anything there.
Do we know how many Ultras are in this game?
I'm not quite sure. I think he's up to maybe 4 or 5 or so.
Yeah, I thought he might have even had a little bit more than that.
Could be
We
more.
want to make sure that, for his sake, that these Ultras stay alive for as long as possible. You cannot afford to let them bleed out. If you just get enough Ultras and you have Lings there to go with that. Oh!
Wow. These infestors have been pulling their weight. The Fungals continue to be absolutely insane, just continuing with this attack. The reinforcements are getting completely destroyed here from Clem, as well as Raynor is ravaging this 3rd base. The Liberators are the only thing keeping him alive at this point, but these Ultras are going to be able to run left, right, and center over all of these mineral lines.
Yeah, big attack coming in here. But as the Lings thin out, there is a world where the Marauders can just gun down the Ultras with ease. However, Raynor's supply is so gargantuan here. I mean, we're kind of seeing one of these games where the Terran supply plummets so low. Even if Terran survives this attack, you have to imagine this is going to be a pretty simple path to victory here for the Zerg.
Yeah, 30 SCVs getting killed off in that engagement. It's going to be very difficult for Clem to find his way back economically as the floodgates continue to open. Raynor striking back will not be getting killed off 3-0 in this series. We will be getting some more.
In that exciting or really good or
quite substantial.
Yeah, satisfying game.
Above average.
Above average. Yes, thank you. That was the word I was looking for. Okay, well, Raynors managed to actually take a game. I think Clem still looked pretty fearsome, pretty scary. But yeah, that Ultralist tech, it really allows you to have a counter punch that can go all the way back to where the Terran is, and a lot of times they just don't have enough.
Yeah, I mean, the Fungals, again, like I said before, continued to be super critical. When that big attack was happening earlier on in the game with the Hellbats and Marines, all those Lings getting sent across, but it was the Fungals that defended back at home. They got this literally just the biggest possible radius.
Yeah.
Every single time it felt like the
No,
Marines
it was
just
like
melted.
It's like if we're trying to test like in a Mapiter, okay, how many units can you get with one Fungal? That was basically what that was. So big plays there from Raynor. Clem, again, these pushes are looking so scary. There was a period, had Raynor not had that very good counterattack, I think Clem could have just won the game at some point in time with those pushes in there.
Yeah.
Luckily for us, we are getting our fourth game.
True. Yeah. Would hate to just have this be a 3-0, obviously. We do want to see more from these excellent players, but yeah, I'm just kind of I don't know, I'm kind of just surprised in general. I'm also just impressed at Raynor's decision making in that critical moment, just realizing, despite the fact that there's a huge army right in front of him, he's clearly needing everything to defend from our perspective, but in his mind, he's like, nope, I can just send half of my whole army across the map to counterattack, and Queens and Infestors can actually just hold this. I know this perfectly fine. And it ended up working out great for him. Yeah,
impressive stuff. Map number 4 is going to be ley lines here. If Clem can win one more game, he will be moving on, surviving the next phase here of the losers bracket. Raynor needs to get 2 more wins in a row if he's going to make it to the next level of RSL.
And here we go into ley lines, the probably most favorite map of all the pros at the moment. Very good, solid map. I do love playing it myself. It's very simple and easy to understand, which I like as a gamer. But of course, as a watcher, it's always cool to see those other ones as well.
Yeah, as a fan of like high-level play, I love crazy maps until I have to actually play on them. And I'm like, oh, this is stupid. Who made this? Like,
map makers shouldn't be able to be creative.
Yeah.
What is this?
So we've got Clem at the top, Raynor here in the bottom. And this is a match I've been excited about, for a while, seeing that we're going to have these 2 players duke it out. It's interesting because, we have RSL's open to anybody from anywhere in the world, right? But just like with GSL, it feels like this has been very Korean dominated.
Yep.
Despite the fact that we know that people outside of Korea, can obviously perform at the same level. So whoever survives this is going to be the only non-Korean left in RSL.
Yeah, it's going to be Korea versus the world, essentially, from here on out. We'll see if whichever one of these 2 does make it through, if they can.
It's Korea versus Western Europe. Let's go.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Cast it to you by NA.
Yes, we're worldwide here.
That's right. Our language might have come from Europe, but we are the dominant casters now. Yeah, it's sad to see one of these 2 guys go. By the way, everybody, we're going to be on for the next 3 nights in a row.
Yes.
So we are just cramming these RSL casts together so we can finish up our first season. And, in this downtime, I think it's just worth pointing out, we had a couple bumps in the road the first few days of the broadcast, but I think like any production, that's live, it gets smoother and smoother every passing day, and I feel like that's been the case here. So for those of you who have joined us since the beginning, we really appreciate it. Those of you guys who supported us on Patreon, you're awesome. We hope you've been enjoying the show.
Yeah, we've definitely been enjoying putting it on for all of you. So, yeah, all of your nice words have been appreciated. Hope you guys are just enjoying everything. It's been a total blast, of course. Yeah, so for now, it's just going to be the totally normal stuff from this TVZ. We'll see if that Reaper can get any kills. Just barely that drone sneaks into the extractor and will be able to then morph on into this war crawler yet again, so that will not get killed off. It's very nice. As we do have the factory on the way here. Is that a third CC that just got planted? Yes, it is. So yet again, normal stuff coming here from Clem, as we'll wait to see what his follow-up is going to be. Should we be getting some extra starports or factory stuff going on? We'll see in just a little bit.
Yeah. So this is going to be probably that 8 Rex play long term. Going to be one of these games where we're probably not going to have that many interactions right away. But yeah, I mean, games like this that are a little bit slow at the start usually are very explosive later on.
Yeah, there's always like this slow buildup of tension overall throughout the early game, and then suddenly, like you said, it just like kind of just explodes out of nowhere, just like we saw with the Infestors coming out in the last game. Nice little catch by the Lings will deny that Reaper from getting anything, of course, so that's a nice placement from Raynor, as the initial Hellion is just going to be running around. I'm curious if Clem's going to continue to make as many Hellions as he did in the last game, because obviously those, they were able to find some decent damage, but I think Clem wanted a little bit more from it. As the Liberator will be coming out, looks like it's pretty much going to be the same thing from him. So we'll see if Raynor is expecting the same thing twice, and we'll see if Clem is able to actually find bigger damage with it, because I think if he wants to have himself a very easy mid-game, he wants at least, like, 7, 8, or more drones.
Okay, I love the Evo block here, but he needs to get something up here to defend these drones pretty quickly. The drones are super bunched up, but yeah, the Hellions are not high enough in number that they could plow through that position and try to take them out. We haven't had a single drone kill, is that correct?
Yeah, that was excellently done. Very nice from Raynor. I think Clem trying to come in with just an awkward timing, because I don't think he tried this in the last game, if I'm correct. Maybe I just missed it, but I feel like he is trying to come in at awkward timings that Raynor's not expecting. You kind of do this as Protoss as well with Adepts early in the game. You just kind of throw 2 Adepts at them randomly just to expect that they might just not be paying attention. Ooh, nice little catch there by the Queens, body block. But yeah, the Hellions trying to do whatever they can, but not really finding anything just yet. The Liberator is going to come in, and that's where it gets a little bit more awkward as the Zerg, because you have to be paying attention to both fronts. We'll see if Raynor is paying attention, is preoccupied with the Hellions for now, so that Liberator will be able to get 2 drones and force the mining off for just a little bit. Still not quite what Clem is expecting overall, I feel like.
Oh, nice position with that Liberator. Yes, actually pull the Queen back. That's going to be really annoying to try to clean up. Yeah, and then you can see the drones are going to have to bounce off that mineral patch. Oh, the Hellions!
I wanted him just like suicide them just to get as many drones as possible.
Please. Give us a satisfaction.
Yeah, Liberator's just going to run away back into the main base and just continue to try to pull Raynor as far apart as possible. Those Hellions are really trying their hardest to find any gap, any opening that they can. But Raynor, rock solid right now on this defense. Excellent movement on the defensive moves with the Queens and Lings, keeping this Liberator from doing much as well. The Hellions finally coming into the natural to find some amount of damage. We'll be able to just get a few drones, but that's basically it. This is looking very good for Raynor.
Yeah, and the Hellions are going to wrap around. They are... Okay, we actually might get that shot finally on these drones. He's got at least 5 now. Really good movement here from Raynor. We're in the twilight of this attack now.
He just transfused the Ling.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't get it. That's so sad, but that's still hilarious. I can't believe that. I've never seen it. I've never seen a Ling be transfused. That's so ridiculous.
Yeah. That was like the first week the game came out. I'm like, well, I can't ever let that happen again. Like, don't autocast that.
Oh, yeah.
He got 10 drones here, 11 drones.
That ended up just slowly trickling out way more damage than last game even. That's actually insane. It looked like the defense was excellent from Raynor that entire time, but then just suddenly just a couple drones here and there. Those Hellions just continued to stay alive despite the transfused Ling. And yeah, that was actually ending up being pretty good for Clem. He's now going to send 2 medevacs full of units across as well to continue this momentum he's found. Will this counterattack be able to do anything? Doesn't look like it. We got a tank, we got Marines sitting back. Now this 4th base is under threat, and it will just immediately be canceled.
Yeah, nice cancel here. This is actually the 5th, because there's another base up in the very, very top left. So the Lings are going to come down here now. The transfuses are actually just perfectly done to where none of the Queens are actually killed off. You really can't lose either of those medevacs with Marines in it when you're doing that.
That's actually a huge blow.
There is some asymmetry in certain situations in the game, and like that's definitely one of them where like, yeah, Zerg gets beat up a lot by that move, but Terran can't mess it up.
Yeah, you have to retain all of that, really.
Yeah. So, I mean, Terran's ability to push now is way worse. You know, so many of these back and forth fights in the middle of the map that comes down to, like, just a small clump of Marines stemmed and pulled away enough to where they can thin out that Zerg army.
Yeah.
So, you know, Raynor lost probably too many drones early on, but I would say things are much more evened out now that medevac was killed.
Yeah, for sure. And it really makes it so that way this double prong attack that usually happens throughout the early mid-game from Terran is going to be generally weaker. You usually have 2 medevacs on each side lurking around. This time it's only going to be 2 on one side, 1 on the other. So Raynor, now knowing this, can move more of his units towards the top side, seeing that's where these double medevacs are, and can just kind of leave just a few less units than he normally would over on the bottom, as this 1 medevac worth of Marines shouldn't really be able to cancel this, but okay, maybe Raynor, didn't actually leave enough units back at home, and so a decent cancel here, once again from Clem, finding as much damage as possible from the smallest amount of units.
So, Raynor's continuing to grow, get quite big. By the way, this map is so massive here. It's very hard. Like, for Terran, I guess the creep isn't ideal, by the way. I mean, the creep's pretty good in the middle, but you really probably want more creep paved out where those expansions are. But it's a pretty long travel distance for Terran to push out in any of these locations. Clem, oh my God, the fungals are perfect.
Oh my God, the second one locking them down even longer. A third one follows, and this forward attack at the top side is getting completely destroyed. I'm actually surprised that that was able to do that much damage there. And then the Lings on the counterattack also going to be able to deal with this pretty decently.
In the bottom,
drop,
though.
Will this actually kill the base yet again? No, it's just that one little medevac.
That's
so still
way less than I thought was there.
Yeah, and that's again, that's because that early drop got killed off at the beginning as well. So the only one is just sitting there still.
Sorry, I didn't mean to run over you there. Doesn't it feel like the supplies should be sort of reversed here?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like Raynor's holding everything off, and Clement's like way more. I don't know. This is a funny looking game when you just look at the numbers at the bottom of the screen.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's still a decent number of Lings that were kind of suicided to try and get that trade in general. The upgrades here continuing to be pretty good for Clem. 2-2 is just about to finish. 1-1 is only here for Raynor, as this base yet again will get killed off. Double Liberator at the top as well. Where did these come from? 9 drones in total out of nowhere getting killed off, and the Queen's trying to just bulldoze this. Also going to lose a couple of those, as the transfuse is not quite enough to power through that Liberator damage, getting so many of those Queens.
Dude, Clem might be the best in the world at placing the Liberators in the absolutely most frustrating points. Like, he sees just precisely how you can make the Queens have to, you know, stumble over each other. I think that if Clem takes out this base, well, not the one that we're looking at now, but where the fight's actually happening, yeah, right over here, if Clem could win this fight, I think he wins the game.
Yeah, no, I think Raynor actually kind of overextended a little bit just before. I think he expected to be able to push that forward a little bit more. He didn't expect to actually, for Clem to just kind of rally behind that siege tank, and now he's losing units. Really, he really shouldn't be at this point, because these Ultralists have nothing to sustain with them. The Infestor's not able to get the crazy fungals off like they were before. Now this one Ultra left standing is at like 10 HP. Clem is just throwing it down the middle after a nice couple of trades, and he's finding bases left and right. Raynor is bleeding.
Clem is winning this. Old Clemington.
Old Clemington.
What is Clem short for?
Clement.
Clement? I was thinking maybe Clemry, but...
The most random name. I've never heard that.
Yeah. Clemantha. This is going to be GG. Raynor cannot, you know, he cannot hold this off. Lings are going to counterattack, but I mean, I think at this point in time, the damage is done. Maxed out Clem is going to just push right over here into the natural. GG.
Wow.
Yeah.
Clem is good, man. I can't even believe, like, when that one attack happened at the top side that just got completely fungled like 3 times in a row, I was like, oh, great, cool. Raynor's got some awesome momentum. This is going to be a banger game. And then Clem's like, just kidding. I'm going to win in 2 minutes anyway.
Every time the Infestor shot the thing, I had, like, you know when you get, like, kills in a row in Valorant, and, like, it has that, like, a horn or whatever that plays? I was like, that's like, bah, 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 like, because he was chain fungling him. Yeah, ace. He aced the whole army.
Oh.
Yeah, Clem just looks so good.
Yeah, man.
That was a funny game, though, because the supplies didn't make sense for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
It's like Raynor's holding everything off the Terrans, pushing out with, and normally we'd be like, well, now Terran's at 120 supply and Zerg's maxed out, because you can't do that. Instead, it's like Raynor's at 110 supply and Clem just keeps going up more and more and more.
Yeah,
The Liberator positions are painful to watch.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
painful for if you're a Zerg player. Like just watching the Queens try to, get somewhere that's safe. We had one moment where I think 3 Queens were shot down or 4.
Yeah, it was a lot, man. I mean, the fact that going with 2 of them makes it so much more difficult. Like,
Yeah.
1 is fine. You can just kind of, like, go on the edge, and the damage isn't quite enough. But when you have 2 of them overlapping and they actually damage through the Queens, it's, like, so awkward to get rid of those. And you can see it really did kind of frazzle Raynor towards the end there, because every fight after that was super scrappy, and he was kind of, like, trying to force it to just get any momentum going on his side to just relieve any sort of pressure, and he just completely crumbled.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And also, thank you to Archon Studio. What a fitting name for that studio.
Oh,
It's
nice.
also Unit of the Game. Oh, it's so sick.
It's also 2 casters
It's
that
2
cast
casters
together.
at once. We don't have any more energy. Let's turn into an Archon. Guys, the StarCraft tabletop miniatures game is coming out. You want to get on that.
Yeah,
You want to get on that right away.
right now.
Go to their website. Yeah, you at home. Stop what you're doing. Sit back down. Don't go to the bathroom. You can hold it, all right? You're an adult. Their website has all sorts of amazing products on there. The StarCraft tabletop miniatures game is going to be available for pre-order later this year. We really appreciate them partnering with us. Because of them, we were able to double the prize pool.
Yeah, super sick. And of course, if you love what we're doing here, please consider supporting us here on Patreon at patreon.com/revivesc2. Tons of tiers to be able to get some little stuff back as well. You can vote on maps, vote on players in future seasons, so you can also be a part of the broadcast a little bit as well.
You're going to feel good about it, okay? What are you going to do otherwise? You're going to adopt a whale like an asshole? Huh? You're going to adopt
You're going to name a highway?
Yeah. Oh, this is part of my highway. What an idiot. You could have used that money to go to the Patreon for the RSL. What's the name of this tournament? Sorry. Yeah, no, we're almost done. We can get through this.
We're just one more slide, Davis.
yeah.
We can do it.
Wait a
RSL
minute.
merchandise.
Oh, our next visual asset, aka highway robbery, 20% off on all RSL merchandise. Wow, who are they screwing over with this? Well, go to that website. Looks familiar to me. tastelessreds.com. I think I've heard of that before. We have anything you need for the upper part of your body. Okay, so if you're like, I'm gonna only wear RSL merch today when I leave my house, careful, because you're not gonna have pants on. You're gonna get arrested. All right. Maybe next season we can get some, boxer briefs or RSL jammies.
Some sweatpants.
Some sweatpants. Yeah.
I'm crying
Some
over here, man.
RSL skinny jeans. Put that back up. You'll pull one over on me, production. All right. He's like, oh, he's just goofing off. He's not even going to mention the YouTube. Well, guess what? Guys,
God.
beyond siphoning your money, we need you to go to the RSL YouTube, because it's not big enough yet. Will it ever be big enough? I don't know. I'm hard to satisfy.
It needs to be huge. It needs to be large.
My therapist says I need to learn how to be satisfied, but I'm not certainly satisfied with the size of our YouTube, okay? We need you to go and subscribe, because the only way this is going to get out to the non-hardcore fans is for this to show up in people's YouTube algorithms. We have it set up so that it's spoiler-free, and it'll be like that for about a month or two. We might eventually put player names in later. But yeah, if we have, is the episode of the podcast up? Okay, yeah, we have an episode of the podcast up there as well. Of course, Patreon supporters get the extra part of the podcast at the end, but also follow us on X. You can get StarCraft updates in between tweets of people screaming into oblivion about their weird political opinions. So you can go, wow, the world's a crazy place. Oh, RSL's on.
Oh, nice. Raynor just got eliminated. Interesting. Okay.
RSL Season 1 scheduler.
Yes, we got plenty more days after this. We're going to be back here tomorrow, and then Saturday and Sunday, where we will crown our champion, the first person to get the illustrious RSL trophy, which they will need to somehow travel here to get themselves, because we can't ship it to them, I think.
We can't ship a trophy?
Can we?
What are you talking about?
I guess we could.
You can't ship, drugs and bombs. I think you can put a trophy in a package and send it.
I'm afraid it's going to break. Yeah. We got to get enough packaging peanuts, I guess.
We can get that.
Okay,
we can get some packaging peanuts, I think.
Nice.
So we have Classic Cure for the winners finals. That's what is it? Is today the 10th? So yeah, that's going to be tomorrow. You do want to join us for that, and then we're going to have what happens after that gets the losers finals.
Yeah.
What is wrong with me right now? like so
You
they're
okay?
They're going to play StarCraft II for that too, or do they go back to 1? How does this work? But yeah, guys. So anyways, all you need to know is this is our bracket. We're going to be on for the next 3 nights in a row.
Yes.
Yes.
It's going to be excellent. I'm going to be back here as well. It's going to be great. I was
Yes.
gone for a couple days. My brother was in town, but I am back to do some more RSL casting. I'm
His
excited.
brother was going to stay for longer. We said, you got to go. I said,
we can't bring you in the
family's
studio.
important, but it's not that important. So, yeah, we're going to be here for the next 3 days. We'll be crowning an RSL champion. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. This was a fun day of StarCraft 2. We will see you tomorrow. We love you. Bye-bye.